7th, 2017, and I want to share with you tonight. I want to share with you going live. And my topic today, like every night, I pick a specific topic, and as people join the live chat, I read their comments, and we have dialogue, we connect, and we go from there. And what I want to share with you today is don't let no one define your voice. Your voice is your life. And no one gets to decide how you want to live your life. As long as what you are doing is not bringing harm to anyone, you are in charge of how you want to speak and how you want to live. When you're born, the minute you're born, the first thing that happens is you're in charge. Somebody else is in charge of you, and you don't have any say. Milano on the live comments. I love you, Milano. I appreciate you. A lot of good insight on that Toyota Prius too. I read your comments this morning from last night's feed, and you're right. I mean, there's different options with higher fuel efficiency vehicles that you necessarily may not have to go hybrid. So good insight, brother. I could tell that you're in that business. I appreciate you, brother. The minute you're born, and until you're 18 and even beyond that, your parents, your family, your teachers, Dolores, hey Dolores, New Hampshire, bless you, Doris. How are you, D? Must be cold up there. Got a couple private messages from my people in New Jersey telling me, Sam, don't come back. You don't want to know what the temperature is. But it's very important what I want to share. And I don't care if anybody joins or doesn't join, or if they do join and they don't like it, it is what it is. This is very important to me. Your entire life, when you're a young person, to 18, and even a little bit after 18, your family, your teachers, society, everyone is telling you what you should do, how you should think, what's right, what's wrong. And that's fine. But once you come of age, you are under no obligation to do what your father and your mother did. You are under no obligation to think and to act like they did. And the problem is many people do, and they continue a generational cycle. And I'm not talking about making money, not making money. I'm talking about a mindset, a philosophy, a life philosophy. Dolores says 13 degrees in New Hampshire. God bless you, Dolores. A life philosophy, political, religious. If you're brought up in a certain religion and you turn 18, you turn 20, and you do research and you decide you don't want to follow that religion anymore, do what the hell you want. Or interpret it a different way. You understand what I'm saying? You're under no obligation to live as your previous generation did. And many people put pressure on you even after you turn 18 because, again, the older mindset does not want change. And they will fight to the dying breath to keep you acting exactly how they want until they pass. And that's a controlling spirit. Because someone who really loves you will take care of you, because it's their responsibility. They brought you in this world. They'll take care of you until you're of a certain age, and then they say, fly your wings. Develop your own thought on religion. Develop your own thought on politics. Develop your own philosophy on dating, on whatever. You want to stay single? Stay single. Whatever you want to do. Defining your voice, defining your life, that's up to you. And along your journey, even if you're blessed with good parents that encourage your self-thought, people along your journey, your friends, co-workers even, people through social media, whatever it'll be in the future, they want to start to itch away at your voice and start to shape how you think. Because your philosophy doesn't line up with theirs. And so you're a threat to them. You're a threat to them. Why? Not because you think different. You're a threat to them because they don't want to do the own work of their life. They don't want to get up there and speak their own voice and live their own life. They're hiding under a rock, and they see someone else developing and spreading their wings, and instead of them being busy enough with their own life and flying and doing whatever it is they want to do, they sit there under the rock and they tell you you're flying wrong, you're going this way, you're going that way. Whoa, 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 whoa. Never listen to somebody who's hiding under a rock their whole life. They're hiding under the philosophy of their forefathers instead of developing their own philosophy. Build on what you've learned or destroy. There's a time to build and there's a time to destroy. But your life, when you're an adult, your obligation is to define your own voice. Even if your parents don't like it, fuck it. Even if your friends don't like it, as long as what you are doing is not harming anyone, then it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. Paul the Apostle says, you think I live for your approval? You're out of your mind. If someone lives for the approval of others, they'll never be able to do the work of God. And I'm talking about do the work of God in a good way, not in like a religious fanatic, go crazy way. I'm talking about do real work of your life. And there's going to be people that disagree. But on average, what you're going to find is the people that disagree with you, they are hiding. Their whole life is hide and go seek. They spend too much time in the house. They spend too much time indoors. They're not engaged in life. They're not building their own life. They're not living their dream. Someone who isn't living their dream, they want to tell you how to live their dream. Someone who's miserable in a house, if you decide to live mobile, I'll use different examples, they'll hate it. Why? Because they're miserable. Misery loves company. If someone is a different political spectrum, political philosophy than you, and you speak up, they hate you. Why? Because instead of them just building their own political philosophy, they want you to think the same way as them. But you don't have to live in a house like them. You don't have to vote for the same people they do. You get to do whatever you want as long as you're not bringing harm. And if someone doesn't like it, then let them just go do their own thing. But I'm telling you, through my experience and my journey, throughout my whole entire journey, pastors, what they try to do is they try to get you to think exactly like them. They read the scriptures. They interpret them. You have to think exactly like them. You read the scriptures. You read whatever spiritual literature you want to read, and then you form your own thought. You define your voice, even if it's totally opposite than your pastors and their forefathers, etc., etc. Same thing with, you read the Constitution, another person reads the Constitution, you can interpret it any way you want. Because believe me, everybody else is interpreting it their own way. And if you don't believe in some of it, then you amend it. You change it. And the list goes on and on and on. This is a general principle of life. You can't live for the approval of others. If what you are doing is not hurting anyone, then you be your own voice. The people that throw shots at you are hiding under a faceless profile. That's an analogy in social media or in real life. The people I've met on social media that are pissed at me or that are mad at me, they have no face on their profile. They have no content. They are what they are. I mean, these are the type of people, and I use the social media analogy because it's the real life analogy. Because let me tell you something, I've been doing all this way before social media. And this is how real life is. Pastors attack you, parents attack you, friends attack you. Because they get uncomfortable when they see you thriving and they see your passion. They wonder why they don't have passion. They have misery. And they want to exchange their misery for your passion by being a parasite. You know what a parasite is? A parasite is not going out there, finding their own type of way to survive. A parasite sucks on another being and they suck the lifeblood right out of them. That's how they survive. Parasites in real life. That's why I go after the people like that attack other Nomad. Look, if you want to do your own thing, start your own channel. But don't be a scared-ass pussy. Hide behind a faceless profile, and then you're a tough guy. Never started a business, but you know about, political stuff and taxes. Never had your own business. These people, they kill me. And so, but overall, no matter how it applies to your life, because we're all on a different journey, this is a life lesson. You living out a car, you living out a mansion, doesn't matter. This is real life. You have to get to a point where it doesn't matter if your parents and their parents and every other generation did it. You can be different. Future may be everyone living in a car, who knows? And it may not be. But you have to decide what you want. Doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. Because everyone else is not you. And the biggest thing that will happen is that you'll start to follow them because you want to keep them happy. You want to be a people pleaser, and then you will live a life of resentment. And that's where the bitter are. That's where the miserable people are. They're in this land called misery, resentment. Resentment means you look at your own life and you despise it. You despise it so much you look at other people that are happy, and then you become a parasite. You want to suck off their happiness. This is also the mindset you have to live. Unconventional. You want to live in a car? A couple people sent me a couple private messages about different things. Number one thing I tell you is, look, you just got to define it for yourself. And, I got a lot of shit from different people. You guys know me by now. You see the type of mindset I have. I don't hurt anyone. But at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. As far as, I'm not looking for anyone's approval. And that's the mindset you have to have. Define your own voice. I'm going to read a couple comments. I had to get that out, and then now we'll kind of flow with it. Milano said it's 75 right now. Later tonight, 69, and then tomorrow, 80. It's still beautiful. It's still beautiful. I have this one. I'm still in Florida. It's a beautiful... Florida's gorgeous. In the wintertime, it's the best time. Like I said, a couple people from New Jersey, they text me, and they said, Sam, look at the 10-day forecast when you come back. It's going to be 20 degrees during the day as the high, and 5 degrees at night. I'm not going to bitch and moan because Milano was 100% right last night. I watched some of the live feedback, and my live feed last night was about don't focus on what you can't control. If I want to, I control my own destiny. I could stay down here. I could change jobs, but I'm not ready yet. I'm close, but I'm not ready yet. So when you're not ready and you decide to live a certain life, you don't bitch and moan about it. So I don't want to go back to that cold, but I'm not going to bitch and moan all the way back to New Jersey. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm thankful for my job. And the minute I want to change, I'll change. When I'm ready to make the full commitment, I've gotten closer and closer. But I don't fuck with people that they bitch and moan about their own decisions. Because we all make our decisions. So at this point, I've made my decision still to stay with my job and to be thankful. And I'll go back to my job with a positive attitude, being productive and thankful. Until, the time comes where I'm ready to make that final decision. Everything else is a bitch and moan, why, sad story. I'm blessed. Look, I'm not living in a third world country. Sometimes, in the middle of the winter, up north, it could feel like a third world country, but it's not even close. Come on. So, you understand what I'm saying? I still have to be thankful. But I hear that forecast. American writer, Milano, it's a balmy 71 here. American writer, where are you? 71, that's warm. Where are you, American writer? Milano, I've been doing this since I was a child. Milano's got a powerful testimony. I got my ass beat up because I did not agree. It made me strong. Laugh out loud. Amen. Amen, Milano. I respect and love you. And sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes, it is like that. But you know what? You're a lot stronger. You're a lot wiser. And, from my conversations with you, Milano, you're a positive brother. You add a lot of good to the conversation. That's what I'm saying. Like, people that don't like you, they're parasites. They're parasites. You understand what I'm saying? Because you've never came in here once with any contention. You've shared your opinion, you shared your voice. And you're a positive brother. If somebody don't like it, you tell them kick rocks. And it makes you stronger. It makes you stronger. The people that want to define your voice, they do the opposite. When people try to intercede in your life and tell you how you should live, they think they're going to deter you, but what they do is they make you stronger. And they make you more determined. Like, that's the thing I always tell. Like, when I did youth ministry, there were some controlling parents, and they figured, their kids were starting to act up. So they figured, let me get real strict on their kids. I said, look, I'm telling you right now, the more rigid you get, the more they're going to rebel. And sure enough, that's what happens. So when somebody comes in with some negative shit, if anything, they add fuel to the fire. They make shit easier for me because then they give me more energy to push forward. And it's like anything else. So it's like, parasites almost do the opposite. People that try to latch onto your voice and control it, they think they're going to control it or make you side with them. But what they do is they pump you up even more to live your life, to live your dream, to define your own destiny. Hell yeah, that's inspiration. You ain't gonna find that inspiration with a parasite. They have no inspiration. They have misery waiting to latch onto your being because they don't want to do the work of their own life. They don't want to do the work of their own life. They refuse to look in the mirror and say, let me actually start adding content to life instead of just being a commentary person. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They're too scared. They're too scared. Good comment, Milano. I'm a little fired up tonight. It's all right. Forlin Films. Hello. Do you have an email or another way you to be contacted? Thank you, Forlin Films. Bless you. You can just send me a private message on YouTube, and that's like the same thing as an email. And we can communicate through there if you don't want to leave a comment. Thank you for reaching out. Bless you. American Writer. Even though I'm anonymous, I try to be civil. American Writer, you are civil. I mean, believe me, let me tell you something. If somebody's not civil, or if I just don't like them, I block them. So you won't see them in the live comments. And I blocked a couple great people like that. But why? Because I could tell sideways comments, and I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, so, I define my life. I define my inner circle. And so, like, nobody else does that for me. Like, this isn't a donation channel. This isn't, let me see how many subscribers I can get. I am thankful for each and every subscriber. I try to show respect to everybody. But if we're on different pages, I just block. And I've seen my subscription go down. And if this goes to zero, I keep going forward regardless. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the difference. Like, I only keep people unblocked if I feel they're adding value to my life and they're not being a parasite. Or they may not even be evil. They may be a positive person, but we're just on different pages. And I'm okay with us just going separate ways. I'm not scared to be alone and push forward. I've done it in my life. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, it almost is like I'm more freer. So like, if you think like I'm going to, tap dance to have an extra subscriber or somebody else kissing my ass, one is I don't need somebody to kiss my ass. Two is, you know what I mean? I'm not going to waste the time of my life. I mean, I put a lot of energy and a lot of my soul into the videos, into my life, into sharing what So it's like, I don't know what people think it is. I mean, it's not like, an edited, scripted, let me see if I can fuck around and, be a YouTube star. That's not me. This is like sincere life stuff. And some people get it. Like I say, 90% positive. And I'm not trying to get sidetracked on just the social media part of it. This is a life lesson. My channel is my channel is about a lot of things, but it's about overall life inspiration. I talk about living out of the car. I talk about money. I talk about sex. I talk about politics. I talk about everything that encompasses my real life. I don't talk about just one thing to give you entertainment. I share and self-express my life, and I allow other people, if they on a similar like-minded page, to share, and I enjoy and I'm thankful to connect. But outside of that, if we don't, I go forward. I mean, I can't, and this is a life lesson for you too. Even if like if you want to stop fucking with me, I understand that. In everything in life, you have to go forward. And I'm telling you, to go forward, you're gonna have to realize you can't. Everybody ain't coming. There's plenty of people that are stopping right where they're at. And as long as you're not hurting them, and you're not doing anything to hurt them, then you just got to keep going forward. I mean, so it is what it is. And that is part of defining your voice in your life. Because believe me, your parents are only going to get to a certain level with you. Your friends, and if you stay in that mile radius of what everyone else has always told you should be, you're never going to be yourself. You're never going to fulfill your destiny. Never. Because the only thing special about you is your voice. And the only reason it's special is because you define it. If your voice is an echo, if you're raising your children and you hear your parents' voice come out, you haven't defined your own life. You're following a generational cycle. And if you're calling your child a mini-me, you're building a clone. You're not building an individual. Shame on you. Shame on you for raising a mini-me. And shame on you for repeating your parents' shit. That's why you don't fuck with your parents. Define your own life. I mean, that means a lot to me. I know I'm being a little loud, but this means a lot to me. This is what I'm sharing. May West from Brooklyn. Sam's Club in the house. God bless May West. God bless you. I hope you're doing all right in Brooklyn tonight. Milano, it's our time, not there. And it's going to be somebody else. I mean, every moment is your time. Every moment is your time. It's your life. As long as what you're doing is not hurting anyone, you have to live your life. Whether you are 90 or 19, you have to start developing your own life. It's not an age discrimination thing. It's a mindset is what I'm saying. It's an old mindset and a new mindset, whatever you want to call it. But it's like, you have to, that's the only way to break generational cycles. I mean, my mom's whole side all struggled with obesity. My father's side all struggled with, you know what I mean? Like just being an asshole and contention. I mean, you don't break that cycle. Most of them never even left New Jersey in that certain area. You don't break all that cycle by being the same exact person. And when you're not going to be the same as them, guess what's going to happen? They're going to judge you because they don't understand. And you have to be comfortable with people not understanding. You have to, or else you're going to live their same exact life. Look at them right now. That's going to be you in 30 years. Is that type of life you want to live? I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that. You know what I mean? I don't judge them, but I don't want to live like that. I want to live my own life. You got forced into this world. Let's be honest. You didn't choose to be born. So once you get of age, you have to define your own life because now you have to make it what it is. Your parents dress you for Christmas when you're a young child. And they love that shit. They almost have children just so they can dress them up in cute shit. But when you're an adult, no one dresses you. You dress yourself. And if you're fucking with somebody, if you're in a relationship with somebody and they want to dress you, cut that shit out. Because that's a controlling ass relationship. You don't need that shit. You don't need that shit. Come on. I mean, these are my thoughts. And but this is me. Everybody's different. This is my voice. I'm not saying, you define your own voice. I'm just sharing I'm self-expressing. American writer, just layer up. That's right. That's what I'll do. It'll be 4 degrees and I'll be layering up in about a few days. American writer. Oh, you're from Tucson, Arizona? Wow, that's interesting, brother. It's good to connect with you, man. I didn't know that. Sailing John from New Jersey. Sailing John living out of a boat. Another alternative lifestyle. I love it. Good to see you, John. Good evening, brother. American writer. Well, for now, I'm a nomad. American writer. Hey, Dijon, and that stands for Diane. Just so I'm clear. May West, NYC. Oh no. Snowflake emojis. And then, I don't know if that's that's like a frozen cloud. Oh, very scary. Very scary. American writer. Yeah, sometimes you have to block people and life goes on. That's right. And that's in social media and that's in real life. I mean, you will not, there is a tree. If you're familiar with landscaping and if you're familiar with the Bible, it says, when there's a tree and a branch on that tree is not producing fruit, you have to cut that branch off. Or else it will eventually affect the rest of the tree. Every branch that doesn't produce fruit gets cut off. It gets trimmed. It gets pruned so that the whole entire tree can grow healthier and bigger. If you have parasites on your branch and you don't cut that off, you're not going to grow. That whole tree, the whole roots will be destroyed. That's real life. That's what Jesus said. He said in the parable, he broke it down. You can believe that or not. That's up to you too. And you can believe that actual real life if you ever done landscaping. I mean, but this is like, serious life decisions. You want to talk about if you want to pick a Toyota Prius or a Class B, that's fun life decisions. But on some real shit, you better start to define your voice in your life. Because that's more important than anything else. Because if not, you're not going to be happy no matter where you live. RV, van, Toyota Prius, mansion, doesn't matter. If you don't have your own voice, if someone else is controlling your voice and living your life, then you're gonna live some life of resentment because you're gonna end up doing things just to appease others. Not good. I'm gonna go back on some comments. Yes, I just read American Rice. May West, please keep sharing until it's your time to move on. Inspiration. Thank you, May. Thank you. Milano, when I disagree with something, I raise my opinion. Sometimes people do not agree. Amen. And then he's got in quotation marks, or parentheses, I should say. My brother is one of them sometimes. I understand that. But you need to show people how you are. Sometimes I was wrong. That's right. And sometimes I'm wrong. Great comment, Milano. I love Milano. Milano's a good guy. And I totally agree. And that's it. Like I say, just because sometimes you block people or you disagree with them, it doesn't mean you're always right. But it means, like, look, you got to live your life. And sometimes when you're wrong, you could apologize. But even when you apologize, it doesn't mean like you let people back in your life. There's plenty of times like I felt bad for cutting people out of my life, whether it's on social media or real life, and I let them back in my life. And then you know what happens? We end up right back in the same spot in one way or another. And then I say, you know what? It's my fault for letting this person back in. Not because they're wrong and I'm right, but just because, it's an endless cycle of a circle. I don't want to go in circles with people. I don't want to tap dance around, I like Trump, I don't. Look, I say some things that don't, but it is what it is, okay? I really don't agree with the guy. So if you think like you're going to convince me, it's not going to happen. On average, it is what it is. I agree with some things. And that's my philosophy on it. And some people can't accept that. Some people, and if they can't accept it, then go start your own channel or go start your own life. You understand what I'm saying? Like I come to some people's house and they want to talk politics, they want to talk finances, and we can only talk about it so long. At the end of the day, you kind of know where I stand. Now, I'm not trying to hurt people that stand in a different way, but how much do you want to talk about the same shit? You know what type of person I am. You know what I'm about. And I know what you're about. That's why I stopped fucking with certain people. What do I need to go over this thing 20 times before I get this person is who they are? I am who I am. I don't need that in my life. I don't want that in my life. I want to go forward. And you're not going to go forward with people that keep going in circles with you. That's how you stay in all healthy relationships. I don't want any gift cards from those people. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want gift cards. I don't want to stay in a healthy relationship just so I can get a $20 gift card from Starbucks. That's crazy. And I don't want to stay in a healthy relationship just so I can see my subscriber count go up. I don't want that in my life. I want to go forward. I pray that other positive, like-minded people can understand me and go forward. And for those who don't, they don't. And that's it. And again, this is a life lesson. And there's no way you go forward without it. Now, you don't have to be like me, but you have to be like you. You understand? And you have to figure out who you are. And that's what I always tell people. Like, that took years. Like, people start seeing me now, like, living out of a car, and it's fun to watch, and they see it, and they have a lot of But, like, I've been dealing with this my whole life. That's how I keep growing. Because, like, I'm not, I'm a respectful, positive, productive person in society. I mean, I never do things to hurt people. I mean, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying I'm always right, but I define my own life. I don't sit there and look for other people to shape my life for me. I don't need that. I don't need any babysitting. I'm an adult. There's enough of that shit when you're growing up. Everyone wants to tell you what to do. Everyone wants to tell you what college to go to, what to major in, what job to get. You know what I mean? Oh, you should wear this. You should do this. You know what? Fuck that. I'll do what I want. You understand what I'm saying? At some point, that's what you got to get in life. And then you figure it out. You make mistakes. Like Milano says, sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're wrong. But the only way to define your life is to start to make mistakes and to start to get out there. And people that love you, they'll hang in there with you if they kind of agree with you, and they'll be there to support you and encourage you. I mean, plenty of that. But the ones that aren't, you'll never make them happy. Never. You go to the college they want. You can read the same scripture they read. You can try to make everybody happy. You're never going to make them happy. You'll tap dance for 10 years. Then you'll end up in a dinner table. You end up in a dinner table talking about something from 10 years ago because you'll never get past that point in the relationship. Because you're two different people going in two different directions and you can't walk together. You can coexist peacefully in a society, but you have, they're not your cool, they're not your, it's just not love. It's not what it is. People do that in marriages for years. They put up the show. And then they finally get to a point of total resentment. And they say, I'm fucking out of here. It's not worth it anymore. And in a society, a few generations ago, they didn't even believe in divorce. They would shun you. You would be totally outcasted if you even thought about getting a divorce and then even remarrying. And if you had tattoos, forget about it. You were an outlaw. You were a bad guy. Don't look at him, etc., etc. I mean, society is such a fucking baby when it comes to understanding that things change. Because if you look at things from 70 years ago to today, thank God for people who define their own voice and who don't say, look, I am who I am. And that's what it is. And shit changes. And I change and I grow and I want to define my own voice. All right. A little carried away. I know, but I'm sharing tonight. Hey, West, do you carry a Bible during your travels? Well, I've carried a Bible everywhere because I use my Bible app phone. I use the YouVersion Bible on the phone. So I've had that probably for about 10 years now. And that's why I say any church that's still raising money for to give out free Bibles is a scam. The Bible is everywhere with technologies. You want to give people a Bible, give them a phone. There's a free YouVersion, the YouVersion Bible app, and a million others. I use YouVersion. I mean, that's all you need. You got every translation under the sun, from the Greek to the New Living Translation. I read the New Living Translation. And then I define the Bible for myself on how I interpret it. The Bible was put together by the Catholic Church. And there's plenty of parts in there that oppress women's rights, that talk about slavery and everything else. I read the Bible and then I interpret it upon my own critical thinking. I disagree with my pastor about speaking in tongues. I disagree about pastors who fucking jam 10% down people's throat. Look, the Bible was written by men inspired by God. Those men even wrote that these aren't direct, some of this isn't direct commandments from God. It's just my own inspiration. I mean, so you have to think for yourself. Why weren't there any women? There was plenty of women at Mary Magdalene. You think she wasn't, women at that point in society weren't even taught to read and write. So you think a women didn't have a perspective on, Jesus and everything else? It was just men that were around him. So it's like all that is skewed to a certain level. And that's what I mean. Society, how society views religion now versus 200 years ago is totally different. 200 years ago, they used the Bible to oppress people. 200 years ago, they used the Bible to tell women you shouldn't speak in church. 200 years ago, they used the Bible to say, if you're gay, you're burning in hell. If you have a tattoo, you're burning in hell. If you cut your beard, you're burning in hell. They would burn witches, literally. There was a lady in here who was a pagan witchcraft lady. They would burn them at the stake and think they're doing God's work based on the Bible. So you gotta also interpret. I believe God's breath is on that word, and I believe you can get a lot from it. But I believe if you trust God, then you believe God lives inside you. That's what the scriptures say, and then you can figure it out for yourself. You don't need to be led astray and be subject to someone else's interpretation. That's what I mean. Like, things evolve. Things evolve over time. People don't want to hear that. But I don't want to be burning witches at the stake. I don't want to be, saying that, gay people are going to hell. People who get tattoos are going to hell. That's bullshit. You know who's going to hell? People who tell you you're going to hell. Because the Bible says don't say who should go to hell and who should go to heaven. It says don't do that, and people do that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they don't even know the scriptures themselves. They don't. They know what they've been taught generationally, and they never define their voice. Their parents taught them the scriptures. That's what they were born. Their kid gets born. They put them right back in that cycle, and they never critically think. They never critically think. They're just in an evolutionary cycle. I know one person that said, look, I voted for Trump just because he supports Israel. What kind of shit is that? Just because someone is from a certain country, you think like they get a cosign? Nobody gets a cosign. There's good and bad people from every parts of land. I don't care who you support. I should care what type of character you have. I don't care. What the hell kind of shit is that? I don't blindly support anyone, B. I take everyone on an individual merit, and that's what it is. There's no just because you do this, I support. I don't give a fuck. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, now I know I curse a lot and all that, but some people have questioned me on that before too, and I said, look, please. Like I gave the example that one time with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby used to say that society's going wrong because everybody curses. And that guy was a fucking sexual predator. So, it is what it is. Like, you have to define your own voice. People don't want to hear that because it hurts. People don't want to hear it because for their whole life, they've lived someone else's voice. And now, to feel the earthquake of someone else actually defining their own life, they feel like they wasted their life. I know I had my father tell me that towards the end of his life, he felt like, well, I don't want to change my mind now because the nuns and everybody taught me this a certain way. What do you say? My whole life is a waste? And for some people it is, because their whole life they decided to never think for themselves and be themselves. They decided to just follow generations. I'm supposed to get a starter home when I hit 28. I'm supposed to get married because now, in 5 years I stop olivating. I can't have a baby anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so they just have babies just because, I'm going to be 35 soon and I'm not going to be able to have a baby after this or whatever. So let me pop out a baby. What kind of shit is that? Not everybody should have a baby. And you shouldn't just have a baby just because you're in that time period. I mean, you have to want one. But a lot of times, you just get caught in this cycle because this is what is expected of you because that's what previous generations did and thought. These are my thoughts. Think for yourself. Decide for yourself. It's your own life. This is my life. Good question, man. I love you. No Man's Land. Hello, everyone. NYC in the building. No Man's Land. Love, bless to you, man. Keep that sleeping bag tight, brother, and layer up because I know it's getting cold. American Writer. Hey, Nomad. American Writer sending love. Arizona. American Writer. No Man's Land's in Arizona, and he's sending love to you in NYC. Milano, you swimming at your own risk. Amen. I mean, but the only way to learn how to swim is to jump in the water. You understand what I'm saying? And the only way to learn to swim is when someone lets go and lets you figure it out. You don't learn to swim by keeping your swimmies on. You understand what I'm saying? And then you get burnt a little bit. You fail. You feel the pain. And then you correct. And, some people help you along the way. We all need help along the way. But the people that help you don't hold it over your head. If someone holds it over your head, they don't want you to define your voice. They want to control you. They want to define your voice. Oh, remember when I helped you? Remember when I helped you? Bro, then why the fuck do you help? If the only reason you helped is because, if you want me to stay in your safe bubble, then don't help me. Because that's not the type. You'd rather die than live that type of life. If someone holds it over their head that they helped you 5 years ago or whatever, you'd rather die than live the life that just you have to appease them. Then why'd they help? They didn't help you with sincerity in their heart. They helped you because you have to be who I want you to be, or else I want to take it back. You don't need that shit in your life. You're better off dead. I mean, you're not alive when you're living for someone else. Fuck that. This is my opinion, and no disrespect, but this is what I'm sharing with you. And I'm sweating like a mother. Crack the windows a little bit. Why I still can before I go back to Jersey. It's crazy. Sound John. Yeah, it's like living on a sailboat. Isn't always all tits and bikinis like people think. Amen, John. That's a good one, brother. God bless you. American writer. It's okay to curse if you're from New Jersey. That's another good one. Bless you, American writer. Thank you, brother. From Arizona. God bless you. Milano. Most people are like lamps. Off daytime, on nighttime till they die. Amen. Milano's good. He understands life. I'm telling you. And then John laughs out loud. He said, good one, American writer. Both you guys give a good comment. Thank you. It's good to laugh a little bit. I was a little serious there, but you got to get, like I said, it's time to laugh, time to be serious. Because without that balance, I'm well balanced. I mean, I laugh sometimes, I'm serious. I'm compassionate sometimes, and sometimes I don't give a shit. Because you got to have all that well balanced. You can't just be pussyfooting around because people are good. Like I said, when you're too kind, be kind. Don't hurt anyone. Be fair, be just, ensure equality. But you know what I mean when I say too kind. I mean like when you're too much of a people pleaser, tail wags the dog. People take advantage of you. And people want you to speak for them. They want you to be them. Whoa. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. That's the type of relationship we have. We don't have one. And it's like I say, you're better off dead because you'll never be alive. The only thing that keeps you alive and inspired is being yourself. Now, like Milano said, which I agree. Now, we self-correct. Sometimes we're wrong. Again, we do nothing to bring harm to anyone. But outside of that, forward. 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 What you're going to find is very few people go forward. Most people go in circles. Star Pack Games. Just got here. What did I miss? Star Pack Games. I was fired up. You missed a lot. But you'll catch the replay, brother. Good to see you, Star Pack. Bless you. Thank you, man. Well, what I'm talking about, Star Pack, you have to define your own life, man. You have to define your own life. Don't let someone else define it. Milano, I'm always looking for new ways doing things. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes I wake up at night and start a new idea. But that is why I'm always trying to improve. That's right. Self-improvement is a never-ending journey. But you don't self-improve by having someone else's voice. Mae West, do you have a fan, Sam? Yes, I do have a fan. See if I can reach it. So my fan, May, is here. It's an Cool fan. I bought it at Bed Bath & Beyond. You probably get one at Walmart. I think it was like $20. It has 4D batteries, okay? It's got 2 speeds, and it gets me right. And I've survived a whole summer, 100-degree weather plus, just with one fan. That's it. 4D batteries. Remember Radio Raheem? I said D, motherfucker, D. And that's it. That's what I do. Okay? American Writer. Sammy, when is your morning routine video? Yes, I mean, I haven't done a morning routine one. Like, sometimes I wake up and think, well, let me do a more... But that's just really not my style. Maybe one day I'll do it. Like, wake up, oh, this is me waking up in my car, and then this is me going to Starbucks, this is me going to the gym, and like, that's not really my strength. My strength is really, like, more motivational. I try to give other videos than not just showing me sitting in a car, screaming at the phone. Like, I try to show the outdoor areas I'm in. I'm getting a little better at that. But that's not my strength. I know my strengths. I play to my strengths. I'm a communicator. I'm an inspiration. And I'm a self-motivator. I mean, if anything, like I said, with my videos, I'm talking to myself. If other people can get blessed with them, then I praise the Lord. But if they can't, I say kick rocks. I mean, because that's my main driving force. And there's plenty of people that they have no motivation. They have no inspiration. That's not their strength. Their strength is to get a GoPro, to put music to it, and to act like doing their laundry is like this sexy, magical thing with music in the background. And go to my Patreon account if you want to see me fold the laundry. You understand what I'm saying? That's not my style. Because if you put music in, I mean, it's inspiring a little bit to listen to music and to see it edited, and they do a great job, some of them. But at the end of the day, it's not real life. Remember the Dave Chappelle show? When he would say, you know, when you walk in a club and you see a video and it's the video is slow motion and you're walking in a club and everything is sexy and it looks like it's an amazing experience to go to a club. That's not reality. The reality of when you go to a club is you got to drink, people are bumping into you, music's blasting, you barely ever get to, like, you know, hook up with a hot looking person. That's the reality. I try to show you, like, this is the reality. Like, you know, some people, like, it's just not reality. And that's why people go astray. Everybody thinks, well, I'm going to live mobile. I'm going to get a cat. I'm going to get a dog. I'm going to travel around the world. I'll be with Bob Wells and I'll be, you know what I mean? It's just, it's not reality. It's not reality. I mean, the reality is a lot different. But most people, what I've learned in life is most people don't want reality. They want an escape. And like I said, most people will never do certain things. So they don't really want to know the realness about it. They want to know the fantasy because they use you as an escape. And they use you, and I understand that because life is harsh. So they say, look, I'm probably never going to do it, but let me just get escape for a while. And people love to play to that emotion. And they give the tap dance show, and people love it. And people say, give me more of that. And I understand after a long day of work, because what happens is people get caught in living someone else's life. Someone else has defined their voice. So they bought a home they really didn't want. They married someone they really didn't want. They had kids because they got caught in that whole cycle. And then they go to work every day, they come home, they resent their life. Even if they put up the tap dance show, they resent their life. They have pictures on social media about they just had a great holiday and they got all their kids dressed up and they're smiling and they got, like, you know, fucking filters and all that. And they hate their life and they look at videos at night when all their family's sleeping and try to escape it, and they escape it. That what makes them feel better because they know they're never going to be able to leave their life. They know it. And so, and I understand that, but I got to be honest, like, that's not the thing I portray, and that's not how I live. I was able to get out of that cycle because I said, fuck this. And I watched other people like this, not really living out of a car, but just like motivational people and that's what inspires me. And I hope, you know, maybe somebody else can get inspired, but I can't portray anything else than what I am. And I don't need somebody else to tell me what I am or what I should be. I mean, I'm good. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, it's like we're either cool or not or whatever. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't preach hurting anyone. But some people, that's still not good enough. It's like, you know, I want you to be who I want you to be. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. You know, I don't want to live like that. And I don't expect other people to live like that. Like, there's been people that I've been friends with that I cut off, not because they did anything wrong to me, because I just don't like the way they were living, and I have no right to say to them, I want you to live a certain way. I don't have that right. They're an adult, as long as they're not hurting anyway. So what do? I don't sit there and nag them to death. I just cut them off. I've watched people that once inspired me that no longer do. I don't sit there and leave comments like, you should do this, you should do that. I just fucking stop watching them. You understand what I'm saying? I don't troll people in real life and I don't troll people online because I got my own life to build. I got my own voice to define. And that's what I encourage you to do. You know, like I say, if I'm doing my job, a leader creates more leaders. A leader creates more leaders. Someone else creates followers. There's a big difference. Sorry, I know I'm backed up on comments. May West, do you work out? Yes, I do. Do you prefer cardio or strength training? Well, I do. I walk probably about anywhere to 5 to 10 miles a day. Definitely if I'm off work, it's closer to 10. And I do a light workout every morning with weights. Nothing crazy, because when I really was working out crazy, that's when I hurt myself. So, but just enough to feel solid. And I eat a plant-based diet. The food is the main thing. And like I said, I lost 200 pounds in my life. It's mainly from changing my diet and just walking. I'm not a workout warrior, but I work out. American West. And that's the other thing. Like, you know, people give me advice like on health. I'm like, bro, did you lose 200 pounds? You know, did you keep it off? And, you know, did you just do it all natural? If you did, okay, what do you have to share? But if you didn't, like, I'll listen, but I don't need advice on that. You know what I'm saying? Because what did I do to lose? I just did research on nutrition, on food, And, I went through some pain, I went through some failure, and I just kept going. And that's what I'm saying, like Weight Watchers and all that shit, what does it do? It just sucks you into their financial plan. And you're hooked on their prep meals forever. And, I know people that were on Weight Watchers, they have, like every week, you go to a weigh-in. You go to your local Weight Watchers in the strip mall, and you weigh yourself. And people would get all excited the first 60 days. They would lose weight. If you're living like I was living, like just letting yourself go, you'll lose 30 pounds. Just stop eating out. I mean, all that sodium and shit, once you cut some of that out, you'll just drop 30 pounds. So they go to the Weight Watchers, and they weigh themselves in. And they got a lot of pressure on them because everybody's watching them. So they'll drop 5 pounds, something like that. And then you know what they do the day after? They eat whatever they want. They just go all out. And then they starve themselves for another 6 days so they can hopefully drop 2 more pounds. So when they're in front of the person. I'm sorry about that. I got kicked off. My connection got bad. But I got a tangent about that real quick. Apologize. American Writer. Of course he does. Look at those guns. Thank you, American Writer. American Writer, do you have a hangover the day after the club? And you have a hangover there? No, I don't. I don't drink anymore. I don't drink. I don't do any drugs. When I was younger, I drank and I went to clubs. I don't do any of that anymore. So I don't drink any alcohol. I don't do any drugs. I'm just all natural. So, you keep it 100, Sam. Thank you. Sailing John, hurry before you leave. Need more water, palm tree, sailboats videos. Sucks here, too cold. Well, I understand that, and I'll try to make a few more if I can. And I remember when I was there a few years ago, and I was looking on YouTube, I wanted to see all those different things to keep me inspired, because when you see the palm trees and all that, it is inspiration when you're in a cold climate, and that's, you need that to get motivated. What I will say is it's a whole different world, from here versus a cold climate. And it's hard to believe when I left New Jersey, it was snowing. And I mean, it's a whole different world. It's really amazing to travel it on the road and not to fly, because when you see the temperature gradually, increase, and it's just really amazing. Funny like a tree. Man, your bills are way more than mine, and I rent a house. Thought the whole point was to beat the system. Well, the point is to live my own life and to find my own life, funny link. And I live below my means. So I sold my house because I wanted to, and I live out of my car because I want to. I'm not trying to beat any system. I'm not trying to beat you. I'm not trying to beat anybody. I am living below my means, and I'm living the life I want to live. So I'm not in a competition with you. I'm not trying to see who can get the lowest rent. You understand what I'm saying? So if I wanted to do that, I quit my job. I would live, in poverty, and I would see who can live least. But I don't. I have a corporate job. I work my ass off when I'm at work, and I live the life I want to live. So, it is what it is, brother. Star Pack. Humans naturally try to fit in due to the primary instinct. That's true. That's a good point. Star Pack says humans naturally try to fit in due to the primal instinct of power in numbers. The problem with that, and this is a great comment. The problem with that is that there are too many people to fit in. There are too many people to fit in with. That's a great point. This causes a strain upon everyone trying to fit in. Star Pack. Brother, if you're still in the chat room, that's a very insightful comment. I want to read that one more time. It says, humans naturally try to fit in due to the primal instinct of power in numbers. The problem with that is that there are too many people to fit in with. This causes a strain upon everyone trying to fit in. Star Pack, great comment, brother. Good job, man. Thoughtful, insightful, very wise. Good job. Hope you're still in. Milano said offline. Sorry about that. I got kicked off. Star Pack. Yep. Insert stereotype technical difficult song. Good job, Star Pack. Star Pack. It's online again. American writer, yeah, he's back online. Start back. By the way, the stream went offline around the workout, around when you went back and you talked about the palm trees. Thank you. Well, I hope everybody joined that was meant to join. That one guy, kicked rocks because, I always thought I was trying to competition. I'm not a competition, try to make lower expenses than anyone. I'm not trying to competition with anybody. I'm living my own life. I'm defining my own life. And, when people inspired me, the different people living a nomadic life, like I didn't send them comments and say, look, I want to live like this. Why aren't you doing this? Or you should do this. I never did that. I took the inspiration I can get for those people and then I figured it out for myself. Because even like if you get inspired by me, I'm not, you shouldn't live 100% like me because you won't be happy. You have to live 100% like yourself. You take what you can from other people, but then you have to put your own twist on it. Everything else than that is a competition. And like I said, you should never be in a competition with anyone. That's not healthy. So it is what it is. I mean, like I say, some people you just never make happy. But that's why I make videos like this. I mean, you really have to get serious about defining your own life. And people will give you the thumbs down just for looking at the tree wrong way. Because they look at a tree a certain way. So, thumbs down. I mean, I don't even know why people, go to places, if it doesn't inspire them. It's just misery loves company. It's true. It's true. And I know that more and more, and that's why I understand life. But I'm very thankful. On a lighter note, after I got out of the ocean today, I went to a dog park. It was a beautiful dog park. And I just sat for a while and I watched the dogs go around and watch different people flirting with each other. And hold on one second, I'm sorry. I'll let that go for now. I just had a message on my phone. But it was just a beautiful time at the dog park. And it was good to see. Dogs and animals, I will say, are a blessing. They do provide a lightness to life. And if you have the time and capacity to care for them, they are a blessing. I was sharing with Milano. I was asking him about his dogs in his profile picture. Now, I guess they were his friend's dogs, and they had passed away. And, of course, I lost my dog. So that's the tough part about having a pet, is you sign up for grief. I've shared that before. But it's still a beautiful thing to have a pet. And I really enjoyed sitting at the dog park today and just watching the dogs run around carefree and happy and enjoying their life. And I enjoyed watching the people too, there's some good people out there. I mean, I make videos a little rough, but there's, like I said, 90% of people I believe are very good, very decent. It's the 10% assholes that really put a hurt on your spirit. But, in my travels, no matter what walk of life, 90% are really decent. 10% are always going to be assholes. But, people at the dog park were very positive and very caring, very respectful. And it was just a good time. I encourage you too during the course of the day. I mean, I know you can't do much when you're in a freezing climate. Believe me, I've been there. But as much as you can, you get out and, I even get out even when it's freezing in New Jersey or New York. I've walked so many times in the dead of the winter. It's not good to stay indoors too much. And that's why I gravitate towards the Florida climate. I mean, your mental health, you have to get out and you have to be engaged. I layer up when I have to when I'm in a freezing climate. But indoors too much is not good. No Man's Land. I cut a lot of people off this year. A lot of people are dead weight. They are. They are just spectators and life suckers. Amen. No Man's Land. Me and you on the same page, brother. And that's why I vibe with you. And why would you want to spend your time and your energy with people you don't vibe with? What's going on here? We're trying to live the best life we can live. The last thing we need is to try to convince somebody else to be happy. It's just, kick rocks is the mood. And it's with love, it's with respect. It's not with trying to hurt anyone. But the mindset of kick rocks is, look, I'm doing me. And I'm living a life that I want to live. If you don't agree with that, that's okay. But then we have to go separate ways. Tony Williams in the chat. Hey, Tony, how are you, brother? He says, hey, Sam, how are you, Tony? Good to see you, brother. I know Tony had made a comment on my videos talking about cutting off people this morning. And he was saying it's hard with family members. He said it's hard with family members. And I said I agree with that. It's hard to cut off family members. But what I've experienced in life with a parent and with other family members is it's tough to cut them off, but if you don't cut them off, you just go in a circle. And you waste decades because they're always going to be that way. And you're always going to be you. You can try to change for your family, but you're not. Because there's something inside you that says you're not them. You're your own self, whoever that is for you. And if you don't feel safe and you don't feel like you can really be yourself in front of people, and you're not at a professional workplace, again, when you're in a professional workplace, I mean, you have to, be proper, and you have to, work, and you have to get along with others. But when you're in your own personal creative space, you don't need to be anything for anyone. And if they can't accept that, you have to cut them off, even family members, in my opinion. Everyone should do what they want. Sailing John, wannabes, I get that a lot. I mean, it's just anyone that doesn't embrace who you are and that doesn't support you. I mean, you don't need that in your life. It's going to hurt you, not help you. And it's tough, though. StarPack made a great comment. I mean, I think, the human instinct is to gravitate towards packs and to be a pack member and to have a lot of people in your corner, part of survival. But the problem with that is who's ever leading the pack can be a manipulator. I've said that in the past. That's the problem with packs and tribes. People on top, the only way they stay on top of the tribe is if they control the tribe. Because if everyone in the tribe is taught to be a leader and is taught to self-express and to be themselves, you don't have a tribe. So a tribe is really a self-condemnation prophecy. The only way a tribe survives is one person ruling over that tribe. It's really true. So I believe that, if you get with like-minded people that are positive, not hurting others, then you should connect with them. But, that's... Hey guys, I just moved my car because I know I was having a problem with the connection. So hopefully this location gives me a little bit better Wi-Fi service. But yeah, that's the problem with the tribe, is that usually it requires one person to, I'm sorry, StarPack, live on all, I hold on, people pull through. Thank you, StarPack, thank you everyone. Yeah, I moved my car, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. And we'll adapt. I mean, that's part of going live. It sucks. I know it sucks on the other end. I'm sorry about that. But, don't substitute yourself for being part of a pact. And on a lighter note, how was everyone's day? If you want to share, did you have a good day? Did you have a positive day? Share with me something that's going on in your life that you would like to speak on with your voice and defining it for yourself. I want to open up the floor at this time. If anyone wants to share, if anyone wants to express their voice and share something going on in their life, feel free. StarPack, what do you do, brother? Very insightful comments. I'm just curious if you want to share. Nomad Land, hey Sam, a lot of ex-girlfriends are popping up out of nowhere. I'm like, what the F? And I'm not the only one. Well, in the wintertime, people want more relationships, especially if you're in a colder climate. It's the time to hook up. The holidays and Valentine's Day and all that, and the cold weather makes people want to form cliques and connect with people. And because why? Because people are indoors more. So when they're indoors more, they have more time to think, there's less stuff to do, and when people are bored, they reach out to other people. So that's what that comes from. That's based on my experience. And that's a test. That's a test to see if you're really going to move on with your life. Because I can say in my experience, do what you want. In my experience is that every time you're going to go to the next level in your life, someone from your past is going to pop up. And you don't go forward by going back to a dead-end street. And if someone's your ex, they're your ex for a reason. You guys have already decided that you don't vibe. And you don't go forward with people that have already proven they're a dead-end street. Doesn't mean they're bad and you're good. It just means that that's not for you. And it leads nowhere. And now, once in a while we go back and forth because, human nature is, like Starpack said, there's a human instinct that doesn't want to be alone sometimes. But that's why I believe in a spiritual part of life, mind, body, and soul. The spirituality says, you push forward. And that you don't live for people's approval, and that it's better to be single sometimes than be in a relationship. But it's all based on what you want. These are my general thoughts, but I hear that. That's a good comment, No Man's Land. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Starpack, I'm furthering my education. I'm not sure what I do, so I'm doing some of the basics. I would say more, but there is a word limit, and I don't want to spam the chat with comments. Well, thank you, Starpack, and thank you for sharing your insightful mind. And it's tough to figure out what you want to do in this world. So take your time, brother. And a lot of it'll just be trial and error. Don't, in my opinion, do what you want. Don't overcommit financially to too much education as far as getting yourself in a hole with student loans. Because what I can tell you in the real world, one of the biggest things this current generation struggles with is student loans. And even if you get great education, takes a while to pay them off. So I can tell that you have wisdom. That wisdom that you have comes from inside you. Now, certainly education refines that wisdom, but there's nothing like going out there and experiencing the world and then refining it as you go. But you definitely have it inside you, brother. A lot of wisdom and a lot of leadership qualities. So keep refining it. Keep defining your voice, and don't overcommit financially, and then you'll have the freedom to live whatever life you want to live. And that's good, man. I feel encouraged, when I hear people share insightful things, man. That's great. Milano, were you ever married? If you're still in the chat room, did you ever get married, Milano? Milano must be parked in his Class B. But all is well. We go forward and we stay thankful. And everything, kind of works itself out over time. When you're struggling to find your voice, whether you're, like Starpack, you're still in school or you're still trying to figure out your career, it all works itself out. But, it works itself out as you stay in motion. That's what I've learned in life, is that you have to keep it moving in whatever aspect you want to say it in. But staying engaged and not, just sitting with your life, I'm speaking in general terms, that's how you figure it out, through trial and error. And there's no substitute for that trial and error, even in what relationships. There's no way to find a perfect person, or it's kind of like, the only way to figure out if you want a relationship and figuring out who's the right one to be in a relationship with is to go through it and, go through some bad relationships, go back and forth, and date different people and see what people you click with best. And same thing with friends. It's all a learning process. No Man's Land. I agree, Sam. Everyone. I agree, Sam. Every level there's a new devil. Amen, brother. The closer you get to happiness, the bolder try to make you stumble. Bless you, No Man's Land. That's right, brother. But greater is the spirit in you than the spirit in the world. Greater is your blessing than your boulder. So what you say is true, but what I say to give us confidence is that we have not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline, and a sound mind. Not a spirit of fear. You don't fear the boulder. The blessing inside you is greater. And you push forward. You push forward. And the grace covers you. And that's it. It's better than hiding under a rock. There's no blessing under a rock. There's no blessing under there. People that hide under rocks throw rocks at others. People who live their blessing define their own voice. They define their own voice. And that's powerful. Trend News, Canada's in the building. Hey, Trend. Hey, Sam, good points. Education is changing. Universities are doing a lot of courses online. That's true. If you are self-disciplined, you can do almost all from your home computer. Amen. Trend News. I learned most of my mathematical calculations for my electrical contracting license through YouTube tutorials. And this was like 10 years ago, before YouTube was really like, you know what I mean? It was just starting. And so education, society is changing. Each generation changes. You know, life, 70, 80 years ago, college was really unheard of for most pieces of society. Now, college is like the norm, but it's really not making you have an edge on society. It's just giving you more student loans. It's actually it actually hurts more people than it helps, I think, now in today's society. So the part of the next evolution will be self-education and using the stream, where you don't have to spend $100,000 for a college degree. And if you want to seek information, you can get it. And then you can cross-reference it, and you can join other training rooms, and you can do live stream. You want to be a professor? Go live. Why charge $100,000 when you can go live and everyone else can open their books? Because it's a scam. Society will have to evolve again. But the old mindset doesn't want to evolve. It used to be like this. It has to be like this. Or, I paid $100,000 for my education. I don't want other people getting it for free. That's the mindset of a stubborn old mind. Oh, it wasn't like that for me. I don't want it to be better for someone else. I rebuke people like that. Very, very shameful people like that. You're right, Trend News. Star Pack. I worry about debt since I don't want to wait years with payments. That kind of commitment is difficult, as I do not want to be in debt. You shouldn't, brother. I am willing to find alternatives. I have scholarships, though. Amen, brother. I think we just touched on them. But yeah, don't overcommit to too many student loans, because I'm telling you, in the real world, that's the number one thing I see, is that people are no longer it's credit card debts. Now it's student loan debts. And it'll take, and they never get ahead. You know why? Because once they finally start getting their career going, they start to pay off some student loans, then they get married and have a kid, and then forget about it. They never get out. They don't get out, and then they have another kid, and then it never stops. And that's why 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. It gets caught right in that consumerism wheel. And student loans is now part of consumerism. Overcharging for education. Everything you want is on YouTube. Everything you want is on the internet. And if you need study buddies, then you have to, now certainly you need certain certifications, but what I'm trying to tell you is you don't need as many as people think you need, and you need more work experience than you do theory experience. I'll tell you right now, companies look at more. If you just have a basic degree, but you have 5 years worth of relevant experience on top of that degree, you'll get a job before somebody who has 20 masters. So, because there's a big difference between real life work experience and theory in the college room. Big difference. So I value education, but it's evolving, and we have to have a new generation mindset. You can't, even like, how technology is changing society. It's like it's changing way faster. You can't look at education the same way we looked at it 10 years ago. So it's not like it has to wait. A generation isn't like, now you wait 50 years for a new generation. 10 years ago was completely different. And 10 years from now will be completely different. You have to constantly evolve. But people don't like change. That's why they resist it. People don't like change. That's why you can't be like the average person. They fight change. You got to have an adaptable mind. No Man's Land said it, I believe, last night. He has a mindset of adapting. And that's wisdom. That's wisdom. Milano's back. Good, Milano. I missed you. Did I miss something? Well, I don't want to go crazy. I missed too much. We just talking. I got knocked off my feet a little bit because my Wi-Fi was bad, but I moved my car. And I think I have a little better reception here. Milano, have you ever been married, brother? I was asking you that, but you weren't in the room, I guess. Were you ever married? No Man's Land. I told my daughter to become an intern or work part-time in any field she has her heart set at. That's wisdom. That's good advice, No Man's Land. Work experience is wisdom. Now, ultimately, your daughter will have to find her own voice. So, plant a seed, brother. You're doing the right thing. Try to guide her, but let her define her own life, because if you pressure people too much, what I've learned is they rebel. So plant a seed, then just keep being yourself. And by you, No Man's Land, and I could tell from our conversations, you're a man of integrity. None of us perfect. I don't put anybody on a pedestal. But just keep being yourself. Keep being a positive person in society. And, she'll figure out her life, just like you figured out your life, just like I figured out my life. I mean, we all have to go through it. Plant a seed, but, once somebody's an adult, they got to figure it out. But I agree with your advice. Trend news. I find a lot of kids don't have a clue when they finish high school. I didn't either. Most don't, so I got to be fair. It has been programmed in kids they need a university education. I agree with that. Yeah, this previous generation was oversold a college degree. Because the generation before them, if you had a college degree, you were Superman. But now everyone and their mother has a college degree. So now it's not special anymore. And now you need like 20 masters. But the problem with that is after you go to school for 15 years and you have $200,000 worth of student loan, you're 40 years old and you got no work experience. You think somebody's going to hire you? Hell no. And if they are going to hire you, you're going to be at the bottom of the barrel. So, those are all the different things you have to consider. But trend news, I mean, you have a mindset of evolving, and that's why me and you kind of connect. So I hear you, and you're 100% right. I mean, you look to the next. You're the type of person where you look ahead, and that's how you have to look. You can't look as is. I mean, you got to look that things constantly change. You have to be a step ahead of the curve, and it is what it is. I mean, society's going to change a lot in 10, 20 years. It changed a lot from 10, 20 years ago, but that scares people. That doesn't encourage people. Because people don't want change. They want everything to stay exactly the same. But that's a battle you will never win. I don't care if you tried that battle a million years ago or yesterday. Nothing in this world stays the same. And it's the people who try to hold on to the past or hold on to this moment, they suffer. Because you can't win that battle. That's not how this world's designed. This world is constant movement and change. Only those who evolve and adapt go forward. Milano, student loans become a business for them. That's right, brother. It takes a long time to get over. Totally agree. It's a pain in the ass. Some loans are very high interest rate. I agree with that, Milano. I totally agree. Now, again, I'm for education, but not over education. And like No Man's Land said too, I mean, be an intern, get some work experience under your belt. Milano knows. I mean, Milano knows too, man. He's been through real life, and so that's my experience. Always live below your means, but you want to try to live up to your potential, because like I always say, I mean, it's not the race to the bottom. It's not the race to see who can spend like that one guy was saying. It's not a race to see who can spend the least on their monthly expenses. It's a race to live below your means, but to live to your potential. Now, work the job you want to work. Build your life around what you desire. That's why Milano's comment really spoke to me last night. About, Sam, you can control if you go back. He's 100% right. It was a powerful comment. Good comment, Milano. You have to build your life around what you want to do. And the more you keep going and you feed a lifestyle of things you don't want to do, you waste your life. Now, it's a balance because you have to live responsibly. But like I say too, sometimes you have to take less. But what I want to share is, I mean, you're always, if you're working 40 hours here or 40 hours there, you want to make your maximum potential. But you also want to balance that, as you don't want to work somewhere where you don't enjoy it. Because then even if you're making more money and you're living a higher level of your potential, if you're not enjoying your life, you're not living inspired. Now, I say that and then I cringe a little bit too, because it is a balance. I'm not one of those people that pump. There's a season of your life where you have to pay your dues. There's some things in life that aren't 100% inspiration. A part of life is sacrifice. A part of life is sometimes doing shit you don't want to do to get you to the point to do it's a balance, and it's not an easy form. I can't give you an exact formula because I'm still refining it for myself, so I don't want to be a hypocrite. But there's components of all those different things I shared that you have to figure out for yourself as you define your own life. And that's one of your biggest challenges in life. I agree with that. Star Pack. I believe your views on online education, but I also believe that work experience is important. I agree. With a lot of fields, you can also make money while you're learning. Just another benefit to think about. I agree with that, Star Pack. Good comment. I agree, brother. I agree. Hey, Renee. Hey, Sam. I'm just leaving work. Now, I'm glad I caught this show. I have a few student loans, but I'm not to laugh at that. But it was worth it. Okay. I took out only what I needed, and I worked part-time for the rest. Well, I think you did a good balance of things. So, Renee, if you want to answer, you don't have to. Thank you for sharing that comment. One is, how old are you? What field are you in? And are you enjoying your work? This is part of figuring out life for you. Because if you do get too caught up into the debt of student loans, and then because the problem with that is, right, you get because even when you start to major in something and you get a degree, let me tell you something, you still don't know what you want to do. Because you haven't really worked full time yet. Even interning or part time is totally different. When you stop school and you work full time, it'll take a couple years to figure out if you really like this shit. Because it takes about 6 months to a year to figure out just the basics of the job. Anytime you start a new job, there's a 6 to 8 month learning curve to figure out what's what, who's who, how to do the systems. So you can't really evaluate if you like that job till you've been there for at least a year, because you're going through the new learning curve. And so the problem with sometimes student loans is you spent all this time, all this money in getting a degree for communications, in getting a degree in whatever. Then you haven't had any work experience. Then you go into that field. Now you full-time it. Then you figure out, you know what? I really don't like this shit. And so that's okay, because that's the only way to learn life. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's why you don't want to overcommit. Now, I speak the truth because I apply this same principle when people tell me they want to live the nomad life. You guys know me. If you guys watch this channel, what do I say? Start with the car you have. Because you don't know if this life is for you until you're full time. It's a difference between watching someone else on YouTube living out of their car versus you going from truck stop to camp stop to, whatever, sleeping at night in the middle of NYC like no man's land. I mean, that may not be for everyone. So I don't want you to go out there and buy a $100,000 RV and you haven't really figured out if this is for you yet. So don't overcommit to a vehicle before you start to live mobile, and don't overcommit to student loans before you get out there in a work life and you actually experience, is this what you want to do full time? Because you may get a major degree in communications, and then you may find out you want to be an artist, you want to be a philosopher, or you want to be a program engineer at Microsoft or whatever. You don't know that until you start to go out there. So you just have to be careful. Anything you do in life, you don't overcommit. You dream big, but you start small. And that's the overall principle I've applied to my life. I've started everything like that, and I've built up. I mean, I've made mistakes along the way, and this is my life, but this is a general principle. Renee, 48 years old, work for the best insurance company. I love what I do. You're blessed. Amen. Because I help my fellow military brothers and sisters. My degree is in healthcare administration. Thank you for sharing that, Renee. And you're blessed to work with a company that you enjoy. I mean, I also work with good people in a good company. I'm thankful. The main thing is just a location at this point. And what I also want to say to Renee is that's a great degree, I think. Health care administration, anything in healthcare, I believe, is still a good field. Whether we go to universal healthcare or whether we stay in this private sector where, whatever, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you agree with that philosophy or not. Universal healthcare or individual private healthcare or employee healthcare isn't going anywhere. What I believe the future of healthcare is regulation on food. There's going to have to be regulation on how much sugar can go in drinks, how much fast food, how much Chick-fil-A's can open. And alcohol and cigarettes, that's the only way to cure healthcare. Healthcare will not get cured through solely a government universal healthcare system. That's part of the cure, but the main cure is you have to eliminate, these corporations are selling people toxins. I mean, When you go and drink a Slurpee and when you go eat a Big Mac or Chick-fil-A, I mean, these corporations are selling poison. And Chick-fil-A and all these corporations, and McDonald's, they don't give their employees benefits. They don't give them health benefits, but they serve citizens. This is actual poison that kills the body. You have to regulate that shit. That's the only way to cure healthcare, that and universal healthcare. But you have, and then, cigarettes should be fucking banned. I don't care what, that is actual no benefit. That's just straight toxins. And alcohol too. Now somebody said, Sam, well, I don't want to ban alcohol because they had prohibition before and that didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work because they only banned the sale of alcohol. They didn't ban the use of it. So am I against banning alcohol? No, but you got to have regulation. More regulation on cigarettes, on unhealthy food, and on alcohol. A certain level. Society don't want to hear that yet. But that's the real answer for healthcare. I don't care what, you can have the greatest coverage in the world, but if you destroy your body through what you eat, drink, and smoke, it doesn't matter if you have phenomenal healthcare. All you do is run up the system. And there's some people that can't help themselves. People say they want the right to eat everything. People want the right to eat everything, and they want the right to not have healthcare. What kind of sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. And that's why it is what it is. I mean, certain society just don't get it. But that's, to me, the future of healthcare. Society isn't ready to swallow that pill of truth yet, but when that time comes, that will be the answer, in my opinion. Trend news. We are blessed in our countries. Most people have spending problem. We should first look at how we want to live our life, then figure out what the cost. 3 of the gnomes figuring this out. I agree. The problem is human nature is, and I almost got trapped in it too. Human nature is when you're young, your hormones are running. And the number one thing that destroys people's lives is getting in an unhealthy relationship too early and having kids too early. That's the biggest thing. Because those are the biggest drivers of destroying your life. Being in an unhealthy relationship, and when you're young, your relationship is mainly based on lust. And then once you have a kid, there's a commitment there the rest of your life. And a kid, to raise it, the U.S. Department of Labor has an estimate to raise a kid from 0 to 18 costs $250,000. You just took out a mortgage. Even if you live out of your car, you have a mortgage if you have one kid. So, but when you're 25, do you think about that? Or when you're 20, do you think about that? Hell no. You think about getting ass. You think about hitting it from the back. You don't think about, this kid's going to cost me $250,000 because you're not mature enough yet. So, that has to be addressed. But you're fighting against human nature, so it's a tough battle. Great advice, Sam. It's true. It's not easy to have to adapt. Amen. And you know it, brother, because you spoke it. Trend, nomads are figuring it out. You don't need a lot of stuff to be happy. Well, I agree with minimalism as whole, if it's something someone wants to do. But I do agree that overall it leads to a healthier life, less consumerism. The problem is, Trend News, you're fighting human nature, because human nature is to acquire, and you're fighting society structure. Take a long time to change that. Society don't want you to change that because 70% of the U.S. economy is based on consumerism. So if everybody woke up one day and decided not to be a consumer, the society would fold. Donald Trump went on, YouTube Google Donald Trump in 1991 when he went before the Senate. In 1991, under first George Bush, after Reagan tax cuts, our country went into a deep recession. Trump went in front of the Senate committee, and he called us, we're in a depression. Why were we in a depression? Because people had stopped buying houses. And society is driven by people buying houses. And Trump wanted more incentives for rich people to build houses. Because he said, you want us to build more, because the more we build, then people will buy. And the only way the economy goes is if people buy houses, because every time they buy houses, they do renovations, they buy paint, they buy knickknacks, they buy furniture, and that's how you keep the cycle going. He lobbied for that. He said you should increase the taxes on the rich, and they only get subsidized if rich people invest in building houses. He had an interest, because he was a developer, in lobbying that. You YouTube Google it, 1991, Trump in front of the Senate. After the Reagan tax cuts, that's what happened. We went into a deep recession. And then what got us out of the recession? Bill Clinton. And the philosophy over there. People don't want to hear that either. We had some of the greatest years as far as prospering. And it wasn't anything to do with building houses. It was technology. That was the beginning of the technology era. Now, Al Gore said he invented the internet. He took it too far. No way. Okay? So you're fair to rebuke that. But technology got us out of the recession. Now, we had our first bust in 2000, the tech boom, and then the tech died, but we were just starting. We were trying to figure it out. But the internet, that's when the internet started. It wasn't housing. But housing and consumerism drives the U.S. economy. The government will never let things go too far. They'll fight it till the death to stop people from building and buying houses and stop people from being consumers, because that's what drives shit. That's what drives all the, but the thing is, society evolves. So you'll figure out a new way, but society's scared of what will be next. But at some point, the shit's going to hit the fan, and your society's going to have to evolve into something else. We have to get out of all they're building now is mansions. We got to get out of the inefficient homes, and we got to get out of this consumerism mindset. And then we got to evolve society. And, that takes a long time, because change is tough for people to swallow. Tough pill to swallow. And they don't want that. They don't want change. They don't want a new America. They want to make America what it was again. America will never be what it was again. Nothing will ever be what it was again. You have to be what you look forward to be, because you can't bring yesterday back. You can't. It's a new day. It always will be. And people fight that, though. People fight that. So those are my thoughts. Star Pack. I just want to address one more thing. Trend news. Some nomads have figured it out, but some haven't, because some live out of their car, RV, or van, and they're miserable. So, like that one guy came in here, he was like upset with me because my monthly bills, I did a budget. I honestly shared how much I spent per month. Did that guy do a video how much he spends per month? No. But he criticized me that I spend too much, and he spends less renting an apartment. One is, I'm not competing with him. Two is, it's not just about living cheap. It's about living well. And when you work and when you make your money, you live how you want to live, but you live below your means. You understand what I'm saying? Some people, they want to do as least as possible so they can basically live in poverty and do nothing. That's not what I do. I still work. I still believe in trying to, do the best you can and be a positive person in society. I live below my means so I can do as much as I want, but I'm not one of these people like, I'm just trying to live dead broke. That's not my life goal. I know I got a little fired up. I'm sorry about that. Star Pack. I have recently bought a rundown house, and my dad and I fixed it up. I am renting it out. I also live with my parents. Means more money towards school loans. Moral is invest in multiple income streams. I agree with that, but what I respectfully, and I respect you, Star Pack, but what I disagree with is two things. One is never do family and business. Your parents, if you ever decide to define your voice and it's totally different than your parents, they'll hold that investment over your head. You'll never get out. I've been through that. I took a help for a down payment for my house from my parents, and it was one. I was thankful for it, but it was always over my head, and it destroyed our relationship. So I do not agree with doing. And you didn't really have to get that house. You just did it as an investment. You're eventually going to grow and mature, Star Pack, and you're going to have your own voice. But it's going to be tough for you to define. It's going to be tough for you to define your own voice in front of your parents, because your parents will hold that over your head until you get out of that investment. And being a landlord is a full-time job. I've seen that. My mother owned a multi-family house, and let me tell you something. It destroyed her marriage too, because my father would work all day and then he would get calls from the tenants. And so, one is, being a landlord is a full-time job, not a side hustle. Two is, anytime you do put money and parents together, bad news. In my experience. Now, I'm not telling anyone how to live their life, but I have to share my experience. And so that's where I respect you, but I respectfully disagree with that. But that's just my experience. You may have a different one. You have to define your own life. I'm just sharing mine. Joe Humphreys, thoughts on Bitcoins if you have any? Joe, love and respect you, brother. Welcome. I don't have any. Pac Live had some. He's a viewer that has some. He made some money off it. I don't invest in Bitcoin. It's risky. You may make a lot of money. I do some risky investments. I do some trading, so I'm not against it. I'm not like, oh, shame on you for investing in Bitcoin. I think eventually the bigger it gets, just like what happened last week, the government intercedes because the government wants their cut. I definitely think there'll be some type of digital currency, whether it's Bitcoin or whether Bitcoin gets regulated, I'm not sure. But I don't trade or buy Bitcoin. I may do other stocks from time to time, on occasion, not every day. So that's not for me, but I'm not against it. I'm not for it. It's just something I just don't bother with, because it's just not in my wheelhouse, per se, Joe. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's part of two. I do risky investments, so I'm not against risky investments. And anytime I do risky investments, I'm willing to lose. I don't want to lose, But you accept that if, God forbid, you're willing to lose whatever you play with. And then the second part is I kind of stick to, I learned through really getting beat up in different investments that I just stick to kind of what I gravitate towards, what I know, and what I have a feel for. Bitcoin's just not in my wheelhouse. It's not in my sweet spot. So I don't want to, I can't really speak to it too much either way. But I know a viewer of mine, Pack Life, he made some money in it, but he cashed out. The problem with any risky investment, if you do get lucky in it, what it does is it builds a habit in your mind that now you know how to hit it builds a habit that now you know how to hit a home run every time at bat. But the reality is, no matter how smart, no matter how wise and quick you think you are, you will never hit a home run every time at bat. What you want to do is not swing at every pitch. Because unlike baseball, investing, you don't have to swing at every pitch. Your emotion wants you to swing at every pitch because you think you know it. But when you're up to bat, if you swing at every pitch, your batting average is going to go down. But you almost have to swing at a lot of pitches because if you don't, they're going to get strike calls on you. When you're investing in the market or whatever, you don't have to make any trade until you're ready. And so you have to calm yourself down because the more trades you make, the more risk you do. And so you want to take measured hits if you're going to even get into that realm. And even then, nothing's guaranteed. But good question, and that's my overall opinion on it. Thank you, Joe. Gail Turner. Hey, checking in from PA. Love your honesty. It's very refreshing. Gail, thank you. And I'm not too far from PA. Love and respect to Pennsylvania. That's what that stands for. I know it's cold over there. Thank you, Gail. I appreciate the encouragement and support. Bless you, and I thank you. Joe Humphreys. What do you do as long as your long-term plan for the next 5-10 years? Where do you see yourself? Good question, Joe. I always say, somebody asked me that before, it's hard as hell to say what you'll do in 5-10 years. Why do I know that? Think about how old you are now. I'm 37. Minus 10 years off your current age, think about what you were doing. At 27, I had no vision of doing what I'm doing now. Only that I wanted to be in Florida in the winter. But I certainly don't want to live out of a car at that time, and I certainly didn't have a full feel for what I'm doing now. So in 5-10 years, what I would like to be doing is living full-time off my investments and be mainly in Florida and then maybe in the summer travel north. But I can't bank on that. But I would still like to be living very simply. I would still like, my number one priority is my health. Taking care of myself, eating right, exercising, mainly walking, light workout. Without your health is your wealth. Doesn't matter if you have a 5-10 year plan to be a millionaire off Bitcoin. If you don't take care of your body, and it doesn't matter if we have government run healthcare. If you're still at Chipotle every day, your life is, shot. My mom has diabetes. She has diabetic nerve pain in her legs. It doesn't matter what her life, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm not sharing that to say anything, but that's my number one priority, is to continue to take care of my health, my mind, body, and my soul, to continue to live a simple life, save, keep working for now, save on my investments, and then see if maybe I can, full-time off my own self-generating income. And that's my goal, and that's what I'll strive to do. Good question. Joe, so you don't think you will be living in your car 10 years from now, question mark? I think I will. Just to say that, I don't know. I don't want to lie to you. But if you ask me, because again, if you asked me 10 years ago, would I be living in my car, I would say no. So now I want to honestly answer you. If I say from 10 years now, will I be living? If I say yes, it's kind of like, well, 10 years ago, I wouldn't say I would be here. So, but just to, to have a fun conversation, at this point, I would say I will be living in my car. Now, I don't think I'd be living in the same exact one, only because, I don't know how long I'm going to get out of this car, because I put a lot of wear and tear on it. But I think at this point, subject to change, I think I would say I'd be living in a car. Maybe I would buy a home base, meaning a raw piece of land, maybe in Florida or something. But I still, long-term right now, see myself, if not in a car, a small RV. I don't, at this point in my life, ever see myself going back to a regular conventional house. Unless, God forbid, my life circumstances change. But that's my answer at this point. Thank you, Joe. Trend News. Digital currency have been around for a while. It's not Bitcoin, it's the blockchain. I've heard about that and I don't know enough to comment. Bitcoin is the reward for building it out. It's not limited to its digits. They can create forks off existing. Trend News, insightful comment. I've seen that mentioned in articles. And again, I'm not too informed on that, and that's why I didn't want to comment too much. And I don't know what that blockchain means. If you can, I understand. Trend News, what does that blockchain mean? Just to educate us. I don't know. And again, that's why I don't play with that, because I don't have enough information on that. Good feedback. Star Pack, thank you for the insight. The house was really cheap and we are a quarter of the way through the loan. I am planning on having people until the debts are done. I'll sell the house and move where the job takes me. Amen, brother. I want you to continue to define your life. I'm just sharing my opinion and my experience. But, brother, I'm very proud of you. I'm very thankful for you. And I think you're a wise person. And I think you're going to be a great leader in this world. So I'm in your corner. I support you. I'm just sharing. Thank you, brother. I want the best for you. Bless you, Star Pack. Joe, you seem fairly negative on romantic relationships. Would it be fair to say I am wrong? Well, one is, I understand what you're saying. I'm not negative on it. If you know you want to be in a relationship, I'm not negative. But what I'm trying to say is, if you get involved too young, too early, you don't know because you're led by lust, in my opinion. And I think some people are meant to be single. I'm one of them. So for me, I don't want it. I'm not negative, though, because some people have come in here and mentioned the MTGO, men going their own way, and I've rebuked that. I say men and women have a beautiful, different perspective. I embrace a woman's perspective. I respect and admire women, and, vice versa, men are respected as well. But I know myself. I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I don't want a relationship. And I think when you get in a relationship, I've seen two things destroy people. Not politics, not war. I've seen the majority of people in this world get destroyed by bad relationships. I'll just say that, bad relationships. Bad relationships and money. That was going to be my two things. That's what I've seen, the number one killer of people. I've seen people die when they're still alive. Through bad relationships and through money. And bad relationships usually suck most of your money out. So I'm not against relationships. I respect the relationship. But one is, you better know what you're getting into, and you better know the character of the person long term. And when you get involved too young, you don't know because you're led by lust. And the previous generations learned that. Because the previous generations where you get married if you weren't married by your 25, something was wrong with you. And what happened is people stayed in miserable relationships. It was taboo to get divorced. And now it's not taboo to get divorced, but now it's like people just go from one thing to another because they're scared to be alone. And so, if you know you want to be in a relationship, I say bless you. I say find the right person that is evenly yoked with you, that has similar interests as you, and then go for it. It's still a risk. And try not to have more, unless you're financially wealthy, I wouldn't recommend having more than 2 kids. Because like I said, kids cost $250,000 up to 18 years old. So, that's what leads to poverty too. That's a cycle. So that's my experience based on my opinion. And that's my overall thought process on it. No Man's Land. I agree. My lust cost me my investments. Amen. No Man's Land sharing his testimony. No Man's Land is an honest brother with a lot of integrity. Thank you, No Man's Land. That's his experience. Joe, I have a mate in a relationship and he just loses all his money. There you go. All his money to his girl. He's only 22. And I kept telling him he needs to get out, but I'm just single. I'm just a single loner. So, hey. Well, one is, everyone has to live their own life. So your friend has to define his own life. And that's what I learned for years. Like I would try to tell people, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm sharing my life. People do what they want. And let me tell you something. You can sacrifice your whole life trying to be by your buddy's side. He's going to do what he wants. And you're going to waste your life trying to, just live your own life. He'll find out eventually. And look, and everyone has the right to define. If he wants to be in a relationship the rest of his life and spend his money, there's nothing wrong with that. And eventually he may find the right girl. He may go through some pain. We all do. But my whole thing is, that's why I made a video on last night. Just focus on what you can control. All you can control is who you have relationships with, who you cut off, and then deciding what you want out of life. And at 22, you don't know what you want out of life. I don't think anyone does. You may have a little bit of a vision. I did. But like I said, you asked me what I would do 10 years from now. At 27, I had no idea I'd be where I'm at 37. 10 years is just a decade, but that's a lifetime. It goes quick, but it's a lifetime. So continue to focus on yourself, Joe, and be careful when it comes to relationship. Like my man No Man's Land said, cost him a little bit. And that's the same. Most people I know there are some people I know that are in nice relationships, but all relationships have bad parts, and takes a big part of your life financially and emotionally. Sometimes it's worth it, so I'm not against it, but you gotta be very careful. Trend News gonna break it down for us. A blockchain is a decentralized and distributed ledger that is used to record transactions across many computers, so the record cannot be altered retroactively. Oh, brother, thank you. I'll have to digest that so I can really process that. When I'm reading it in my live feed, I don't have thank you, Trend News. Trend News, you're very insightful. And I always like talking with Trend News because it'll take me a little bit to process that, and I don't like to speak if I don't have it processed because then I'm not going to speak wisdom. But Trend News, thank you, brother. I appreciate your voice, Trend News. Thank you. Rip, new subscriber. Thank you, brother. Good connecting with you today. Plus, when you start early, you end up feeling like you're stuck in a relationship. Amen, Rip. I'll just call him Rip. I want to love and respect you again, man. It was good connecting with you today. And that's it. I mean, Rip's got his own experience, too. So he's sharing. Again, I'm not anti-relationship, but you just got to be very careful. Very careful. Good comment, Rip. Trend. Without the alterations, all sequential blocks and the conclusion of the network. Yeah, I got to process that. But I hear you, and I appreciate the definition. Edison Eagle, South Edison House. Hey, brother, love and respect you. 10 years from now, I would think nomad life would be much more popular as self-driving, electric, and interconnected vehicles will open up new possibilities for living and working. I agree with you, Edison Eagle. I mean, 10 years from now, society is going to be different. We're in a technology era, not an industrial era. So technology, whether it's driving cars and all that, and battery-driven cars and et cetera. Now, the problem is we also have to step back and say, look, 20 years ago, some people thought we'd be the Jetsons by now. I don't know if you know the Jetsons. The Jetsons was a cartoon, and it was like everyone was living in space and then had space cars. So it may or may not be. We're not going to be able to comprehend what's 10 years from now. But what I do think is reasonable to say is that technology will continue to evolve society, and society, here's the key, society will be driven around efficiency. Efficiency is the future. So whether that means a tiny home, tiny car, whatever, efficiency and mobility is going to be the future. Because a couple generations ago, you stayed with a company for 30 years and you got a pension. Currently, you know how long your average stay with an employer is? 4.5 years. So what do you need in today's workforce? Flexibility and mobility. You need to be able to travel to different parts of the state, different states to get the best job. I believe the future is efficiency and mobility. That will maximize your flexibility. Flexibility is your greatest asset in the future. It's your greatest asset ever, but definitely in the future. In an efficiency-driven world, mobility will be your greatest asset. That's my opinion. Renee, I agree with the kid. Me, one and done. And then she gave a smiley face. Thank you, Renee. God bless you. Joe said, shed life. Amen. Good comments, guys. Good comments. I appreciate you guys. Forgive me if I'm talking loud, but I'm just passionate. But anybody that's still in here and not blocked, I appreciate. Trent, I am like you, Sam. I like to understand new technology, and I have purchased some, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Ethereum currency and Litecoin, not for the profit, but to understand how it works in the systems. Amen, brother. Well, I wish you well, and no matter what venture, I mean, start small. The only way to learn something is to do it. I mean, I got burned only by learning. Some stuff we learn through mentorship but the only way we really learn is going through the fire, in my experience. Now, like I say, just try to be somewhat careful, but that's the only way to learn anything in life. And you have to. That's how you define your own voice, because your parents are going to say do this, do that. Your friends, your YouTube people. You just have to live your own life. As long as always the caveat is, as long as you're not hurting anyone. If you're not hurting anyone, I say God bless, man. I wish everybody the best. I know people don't think that because I talk very passionate, but I know in real life, I am the biggest supporter of people who just focus on their own life, and as long as they're not hurting nobody, I want to see everybody succeed. I get pissed when people try to tell me or other people this or that or whatever, and they're not even working on their own life, and they're not adding anything positive to the. I'm not for that. But even them, even when I block people and I cut people off in real life or social media, I know they don't believe it, but I still pray for them. I still wish the best for them. I don't wish harm on anyone. I don't wish violence. I don't wish harm. I want everyone to do well. I really do. Some people don't believe it, but I really do. No Man's Land. I agree. They already have tiny houses on wheels. Yes, the problem with tiny houses is the government will not allow them on most pieces of land. That's the scam. The scam with tiny homes is you have no place to put them. They're worse than an RV. I think RVs will appreciate. I think Milano in his Class B will do better than a tiny home, because a tiny home, I looked into tiny homes when I consolidated my life. Most townships won't let you build a house under 1,000 square feet. Tiny homes are usually under 1,000 square feet. And if you want to live off the grid like I did, townships and municipalities in the United States of America won't allow it. They say you at least have to be connected to the infrastructure, the electrical grid, the sewer, even if you don't hook it up. You have to be connected. And then once you're connected, even if you don't turn on your utilities charge you a surcharge. Like if you never turn on your electricity, you're still charged a $20 surcharge. I mean, so that's a big scam. Why? Because they want your property taxes. That's why Donald Trump lobbied in the 90s that we got to build more houses. Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for society. Once you're hooked into that land, and once you're hooked, they just keep churning you out. Property taxes, utility bills, assessments. It never stops. Then you have to try to sell that to somebody else who's less experienced. And they have to take that burden off you. And it's just a cycle. Now, granted, for some people that are raising a family, they need a house, but I don't know. It's not I'm odd. I mean, again, I'm probably like in 1% of society as far as how I live. Most people, with a family, they wouldn't do well how I'm living. They wouldn't want to live. So you need houses, but they're built way too big. And the problem with tiny homes is society is still structuring tiny homes as a regular sized house for property taxes and for utility costs. They don't want you to get over on they don't want you to live on the cheap. They want you to be stuck on that consumerism wheel. Because God forbid if you really live below your means and you had the ability to do more creative things and not be caught in the society. Who's going to work at Wawa for $7 an hour? Who's going to work at Walmart for $8 an hour? The only time people work there is they have no other choice and they have to pay off this consumerism. And shame on them. Minimum wage is like $7.25 an hour. You can't get shit. You don't have health insurance. That's a sin. Corporations just got a 15% tax break that saved them billions, and you can't pay people $20 an hour with health insurance. That's a sin. That's a sin. No wonder people are on government assistance, because when you're making $7.25 an hour, who the fuck wants? It's like, and that's why people don't even want to work minimum wage. That's why you have a level of people that just live off the system. There's no incentive. Donald Trump said in the 1991 C-SPAN that there's no incentive for rich people to build. There's no incentive for poor people to work. Because why would you want to work for $7.25 an hour when you can just collect whatever? And you should. That's a no incentive for that. And you don't even get health benefits? That's a sin. That doesn't reward people for working. Even if it's at the bottom of the barrel, you should at least have health benefits and you should get paid a living wage. You should be able to live a little bit of a decent life. You can't live a decent life for $7.25. You got to suck your parents' dick, because you got to live in their house if you're making minimum wage. You can't have your own voice. You got to have your parents' voice. And you can't say shit while you're in their house, because you could barely pay your car note with $7.25 an hour. And you got to live off your mom's cooking. God forbid you want to change to a vegetarian diet, but your mom's cooking meatballs, $7.25 an hour. You ain't fucking finding no vegetarian food. You're eating your mom meatballs and you keep your mouth shut. System's fucked up. Excuse me. Go back on some comments. Yes, and No Man's Land says he already has a house on wheels. Amen, brother. Joe, love your attitude, man. Everyone just has this illusion that meaning of life is to be in a relationship and have kids. It's just not the case. Lead your own life. That's right, brother. Lead your own life. Now, if it is for family and a relationship, again, I'm not against it. So I want to be clear. I just want you, whoever you are, I want you to define your life. That's all. Amen. No Man's Land. I've noticed more RVs in NYC, Sam. Me too. When I'm out there, because I'm in and out of the city, I see it too. It's tough, you know what I mean? But it's out there. And again, I think if you don't have kids or a pet, I think you're better off in a car. Because again, if you need to go back to the conventional life, you have the maximum flexibility. The future is flexibility and efficiency. When you're in it, I mean, you could do whatever. I mean, when you get an RV, you're a little bit more committed to a certain lifestyle that, you know, now you have to go to a campground, you have to do whatever. I mean, forget about it. Being an RV in some areas, you know, it's too tough. So that's why I promote starting a car. That way you don't overcommit, and you have to see if this lifestyle's for you. Sailing John says, amen, Sam. Thank you, brother. Sailing John, I appreciate your support, man. Sailing John, living out of a sailboat. Check out episode 3. And I love and respect Sailing John because he's turning the page this year. He's making his plans. And Sailing John is defining his life. He's going forward, not backwards. I respect Sailing John. Sarah Rogers, love and respect to you, Sarah. Beautiful picture. Great channel. Thank you, Sarah. Not sure if there are a lot of people in NY in their cars, but in California, you have to get there early. I just got a spot EPS outside San Diego. It's packed in the rest stop says. Yes, well, California and Florida are going to be the biggest nomad states. Why? Because the outdoor climate breeds that lifestyle. California in the 70s was one of the first states to start the mobile lifestyle movement through the hippie movement. So that has the roots, and that's why California real estate is outrageous, whether it's renting or buying. So they're forcing people to live in RVs, but there's too many restrictions there. And I even saw, like, Bob Wells did a video today that now they're starting to enforce the 14-day rule on BLM land, meaning you can't stay more than 14 days consecutive, which is fine. That's how it's always been. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, there's a lot of heavy population there. That's why I don't recommend RVs. I mean, if you're single without pets, just get a car, and, you know, you got to keep it moving. You sign up to keep it moving when you live out of a car. You can't set up camp. If you want to set up camp, you have to stay at campgrounds. You have to pay a fee. If you want to live, you know, but you may still end up relatively same. I spent a lot of money in gas. That's why the one guy came in here earlier in the feed and he said, Sam, I spend less than you on rent. Yeah, I'm not trying to be the lowest spender. I'm trying to live below my means. So, like I said, I spent a lot of money in gas in the Starbucks. I mean, if you want to just live cheap, I'm not the person for you, because I preach living below your means, and you're going to spend some money in gas and moving, and that's going to be uncomfortable. That's not for everybody. Now, everyone has a different nomadic journey. So you're going to have to figure out, where's your job, you know, and I researched all this before I started, you know, where can you park legally and safely in that area, and then how can you move the way you want, and then you got to figure it out as you go. But, I can't speak to that specific area, but I know California in general has that problem. But just like New York, I mean, New York doesn't have that problem because a lot of people don't want to live in their car in the middle of winter. I mean, no man's land knows that. It's fucking 4 degrees at night. California is probably like, 60 degrees right now. So, but I'm in Florida. A lot of people live out of their RVs and cars. Thing is, there's campgrounds here. Now you can only stay 14 days, and some of them you have to pay for. Of course, you can go to a truck stop. You can go to a family or friends member's driveway for a day or so. That you have to figure out and define your own life. Sarah, those are my general thoughts. And again, I thank you. Beautiful picture. The bottom line is, you just have to figure it out as you go, because every person has a different way that they like to move. A lot of people wouldn't like to live. I travel a lot during the course of a day, and I keep it moving. Some people don't want that. They want to set up their car. They want their pet to run outside. They want to cook on their fire thing. They want an outdoor shower. In, out, Starbucks, Planet Fitness, next town. And a lot of people don't want that. So, that's why I can't speak to everybody. But I'll end on this note. When you sign up to be a nomad, you sign up to move a lot. And so you can't expect society, whether it's government land, whether it's Walmart's, you can't expect society to give you a place to park long term. You sign up that you're going to constantly move. Even if you have a certain spots, you at least have to rotate those spots. You can't be a person that say, this is my spot in the parking lot, and I go there every night. Somebody better not be in my spot. You can't have that attitude. It's the wrong attitude. You got to just say, I sign up to keep it moving. And, some nights I may have to drive, a half hour away. That's part of the lifestyle, to be honest with you. Thank you. Renee, have you heard about the celebrities that are donating the tiny homes to the homeless, people for the shelter? How are they going to take care of it? And what if they just leave the tiny home on the street? Yeah, Renee, I haven't heard of that, but like I said, I've worked with the homeless. I had a nonprofit organization. I've worked with several homeless programs, and I've actually dealt with it. The majority of people that are homeless, there's two issues. One is a drug problem. Two is a mental health problem. It's not a shelter problem. So you have to cure that problem. And you don't cure that problem through giving a tiny home in most cases. Now, there may be exceptions. And then the other part is, yeah, where are you going to put that? I mean, so, you know, the homeless issue, like I say, my experience where I've worked with it, some people have never worked with it, they just feel bad. The number one problem, there's two problems with homeless. There's a mental health problem and there's a drug problem. You have to attack that, and then you have to work on with individuals based on their individual circumstance, and you have to try to place them, you have to try to see what you can do to help them. That being said, I want to be clear. I've also known some homeless people in New York that they want to be homeless. Just like I want to live out of my car, they don't want to be under the roof of a shelter. They don't want anyone to tell them what to do, and they want to sleep in Central Park, and they want to sleep in front of Penn Station. I'm serious. Like, and maybe it's a mental health problem, or maybe it's just that's how they want to live, just like this is how I want to live. So people don't understand that because they've never had any actual experience with the homeless, other than the Kim Kardashian, I feel bad for poor people, and I'm going to go visit one homeless shelter and then go back to my mansion. I've spent legit time. People spend more time than me, so I'm not trying to say I'm Mother Teresa, but then I'm trying to tell you through real life experience, that's what it is. And, some of that you can't cure. Jesus said the poor will always be among you. So even if the government eventually issues, like everyone gets a certain siphon off stock market dividends, there's always going to be the people of society that they don't want to engage life. You can't cure that. And people don't want to hear that either, but that's the reality of life. Now, some people need a helping hand. We all do at times. Those people you can help, but there's not everybody. So, that's the real life. Milano, minimum wage equals start selling drugs. God forbid. I don't wish that on anybody, but I hear you, brother. And now, who's the biggest drug dealer now? Walgreens. Prescription drugs are the biggest drug dealers, the pharmaceutical companies. And they don't crack down. The government doesn't crack down on them how they crack down on people in the 80s selling dope on the street. Walmart is getting away with murder. I mean, not Walmart. Well, Walmart has it too, but Walgreens. The government don't give a fuck. They're starting to crack down a little bit, but like we don't have a crack cocaine problem anymore like we did in the 80s as far as like the level of problem, but we have a prescription drug problem. But now society doesn't look at Walgreens the same way it is it looked at a drug dealer on the street, and that's not good. That's why a lot of people popping prescription drugs, coming in on my comments, leaving crazy ass comments. You understand what I'm saying? People popping Xanax and drinking wine, telling me how I should live. Please don't do that. God bless. I want the best for you. Don't do that. Sam, thoughts on legislation on cannabis, meaning weed or marijuana? Well, one is I smoked weed when I was young, and all it does is make you dumb and paranoid. People can try to say it's therapeutic, it's this and that. That's their experience, that's fine. I mean, I'm not really passionate either way, but in my experience, all weed does is causes you to live below your potential, and it's a drug for adolescents, for children. It can be a gateway drug, but, not necessarily. But at the end of the day, it doesn't do anything positive for you. If anything, it kills your potential. It'll numb your brain. It'll make you more paranoid. It'll make you overeat, and it'll make you fuck with the wrong people. It'll make you have the wrong friends. And, you may not cause trouble, but you're just going to sit around getting high. How many times can you watch Friday? The movie Friday? You'll watch that 100 times. You'll smoke weed, and, it's just not productive. So overall, I am not for the legalization, but I'm not, passionate, it's like a horrible thing for society. But, yeah, I don't think it's a good thing, to be honest with you. This is my opinion. Now, if they wanted to, the medical thing a little bit is a scam too. I mean, obviously, if it helps some people, but I know people that use it medically, they don't use it medically. But it is what it is. I mean, but to be honest with you, sometimes people are better off smoking weed than some of the prescription drugs they take from Walgreens. So it's a little bit of a wash, in my opinion. Good question. Star Pack. One thing I notice is that social structure shatters often. It's hard to explain for me, but I see people expressing their opinions only to be shot down and isolated from everyone else. Yeah, well, that's why you got to build up yourself in your own voice. I mean, if you get shot down, you can't, hide under a rock. But the bottom line is, if you get shot down, then build your own platform. I mean, you know what I mean? Because let me tell you something. In life, you get shot down. In life, people don't want, people, that's part of life. Part of being yourself, part of defining your own voice is saying, I'm going to share my voice, and some people aren't going to like it. You'll never start a YouTube channel if you don't want to face rejection. And that's why a lot of people that leave negative comments, they don't have their own YouTube channel with their own face and their own content. They want to tell you how to run your channel because they don't want to take the hits. They know that as soon as you put your face on something, you have to take heat. You have to take rejection. And they don't want that. Like I say, I mean, people want to tell me and tell other YouTubers how to do their channel, but they don't want to have their own channel. There's a big difference. There's a reason why, because you take a lot of hits. Now, certainly, if you're doing a channel and you're promoting violence or you're promoting some type of like bad thing, then people should attack that person. But if you just have a different opinion, I mean, then you should just go to another channel. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's a million different channels, just like TV, for a million different perspectives. I think you should only really attack them if they're preaching like some type of violence or some type of hateful thing. I mean, if you just have a different opinion, I mean, that's what the world is. It's just a bunch of opinions. And, you have to define your own. And it's never, no matter how nice of an opinion, people didn't like Mother Teresa. And some shit, Mother Teresa wasn't 100% right. People didn't like Jesus. People didn't like Martin Luther King. So, I mean, people like have a fantasy about these people. But when Martin Luther King spoke up about not just racism, but about Vietnam War, society killed him on that. They hated him. When Jesus spoke up against religious hypocrites, society hated him. They crucified him. So if you think you're going to speak up about taxes or about health care or about living in your car, and you think you're not going to get heat, you're out of your fucking mind. That's part of being a leader. That's part of defining your own voice. If not, you hide under a rock and you throw shots at other people. That's part of being a follower. That's part of being a troll. It is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Milano, minimum wage equals getting stuck for good. God bless. I mean, that can be a trap. But like I say, if someone's willing to work in society, they should at least get paid a decent wage with health care. It's wrong. I mean, I see hardworking people for landscaping companies getting paid minimum wage. And, I understand the person can't pay them more, but it's just wrong. I mean, so I had a small business. And I understand that sometimes you just have to hire cheap labor. But the bottom line is the government should take some of that 15% corporation tax cut that gave corporations billions back, subsidize. So if you have your own landscaping company and you need to pay day laborers, minimum wage, the government use some of that subsidy they did for the corporations. They should pick up the rest of the tab to get that worker to $20 an hour. So you pay the worker $10 an hour cash or whatever, and the government pays them another $10 and then covers their health care. That's how you get to $20 an hour, and you don't break the entrepreneur, and the corporation subsidize some of this shit instead of taking the money and throwing it overseas in some Swiss bank, because that's what happens when you just give corporations subsidies without any restrictions, in my opinion. Sarah, gas back and forth to the rest stops, right? Yes, that's where you're going to spend a big expense. I mean, gas per day, I mean, you could spend, and that's why too, I recommend getting you don't have to get a Prius or anything, but get a car that at least gets 25 miles per gallon, because I think on average you're going to spend $20 a day on gas. Unless you're, maybe you could spend $10 a day. Maybe you could spend $10 a day on gas. Now, maybe you could do less, but let's just say $10 a day. 10 times 30 days in a month on average, $300. That's a fixed cost. But people don't look at that. People say, let me travel 2 hours out of my way because I can get free boondocking, but they just spend $30 in gas instead of just spending $20 on a campsite. You understand what I'm saying? You have to think beyond the surface. A lot of people don't. Like a lot of people, they go in Walmart and they see clearance 2 for $5 and they buy something that ain't worth 50 cents, but they saw like a free giveaway, but nothing's free in this world. Everything has a cost. That's why you have to calculate everything and just focus on living below your means, not necessarily cheap. Milano, that is why our drugs are in street. People selling dope is nothing else they can do. Sometimes, I mean, look, I mean, I grew up with some drug dealers too. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's no excuse for it. I'm not going to co-sign, even if minimum wage is low. I'm not going to co-sign no one is justified in selling drugs. As far as illegal, no one is justifying for doing criminal activity. I keep this country honest, but I'm very honest too. This country, United States of America, is a blessing. And you have opportunity out here. If you put effort into something, if you have a good attitude and you're consistent, you'll make a good living in America. And so I want to be fair and I want to be clear. You can be brought up in a third world country and not have half the opportunities of America. There's no justification for selling drugs and for saying that you don't have opportunity. I'm just balancing that with getting America better is, you have to also make America better. And part of making it better is, providing a livable wage for people willing to work. But I want to be clear, there's plenty of opportunity here. The problem is we're the wealthiest country in the world and people don't have health care. That's a sin. We're the wealthiest country in the world and $7.25 an hour for minimum wage. That's a sin. But what's also a sin is justifying doing illegal activity because you say there's no opportunity. That's bullshit. It's a balance of thought, in my opinion. Nomad's Land. Sleeping bag is the best. Hands up emoji. Whether it's great for nomads, no one's outside, my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's the give and take. So when you are doing something no one else wants to do, then you have more privacy. And then you have more, nobody bothers you. Like I say, I mean, in Florida and California, I mean, you're fighting for a spot to go every night because it's nomad heaven over here. So, but it's nomad's hell a little bit in New York, but you get all your pickings because who else wants it? Nobody else wants it. So it's always a trade-off. Everything in life is a trade-off. Milano, RV economic refuge. Amen. And Albert Einstein was a refuge. Steve Jobs' father was a refuge. And I think that RV or non-conventional living is a refuge for people who want to live free. Now, is it for everyone? No. But if you don't have a family, don't have dogs or whatever, and you're willing to accept moving a lot, I think it is a refuge from the trap of consumerism. I agree. But I see plenty of people buy RVs and they get into the camper world consumerism. So you just got to be careful. Sarah, are there any other safe places to sleep in a car outside of a rest stop? Camping ground, Walmart, parents' or friends' driveway, but no more than 2 days consecutive. Those are the basic ones that I rock with. And, when you sign up to live out of your car or live a mobile life, you take on a little bit more risk. Is it something you should fear? No. But it's something that you have to be, you live in a mobile street life. I don't think you have anything to fear, but you're taking a little bit more risk. You're getting a greater reward. The reward of having an apartment or house is you have a little bit more security and safety, but you're paying a lot for it. So you're making a trade-off. And for somebody to pander to you, to tell you that, they're lying to you. I do feel overall it's still safe, but there's nothing guaranteed. You can live in your car and something bad can happen. You can live in your apartment and something bad can happen. You take a little bit more risk living in your car. I want to be clear. I don't lie about that. But that's what it is. Those are the basic options. Of course, everyone has their own way. There may be something I'm not mentioning, but those are your basic options, in my opinion. Milano, Flagstaff also in the future. I don't know, what does Flagstaff mean? Flagstaff, Arizona? What do you mean with that, brother? Hey, it's Miss Kimberly. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Miss Kim. Joe, how do you overcome rejection? Feel the pain, pick your ass up, and ask God for grace and push forward. Now, sometimes I've got hit hard with rejection, and I had to crawl under a rock and spend about a year healing. So you need a season to heal, and you got to draw back. You may have to cut all your social media. You may have to hide. So there's a time to hide, but only for healing. Once you've healed, you get back out there. And you let go of the hurt, but you take the lesson. That's how you deal with rejection. Good question. Sailing John, stand by. About ready to post another short clip. That's what I'm talking about. More sharing. Check me out. I am going to check you out. Everyone check Sailing John out because that's a good brother. Pushing forward in life. I support that, John. And keep doing. Your creativity is a doorway into your future passion. There's no way you're going to live a passionate life without using your creativity. John, every time you upload a video, you create creativity. Will you experience rejection? Yes. But will you experience fulfillment? Yes. Push forward anyway. I agree. Sarah, not going to be cheap if it's cold and your car is sucking down gas for the heater in your car. Yeah, it's going to be cheaper, but nothing's cheap. But I don't preach trying to find the cheapest life. I preach living below your means and finding the best life for you. For everyone, that's different. If you just want to live cheap, I mean, you can live in the slums and just eat government cheese. I mean, you can live cheap anywhere. I don't believe in living. I believe in living below your means, earning a living, getting consistent income, and then figuring out how you want to define your life. That's my message. So, Sailing John, I was directing that to Sam, not promoting. No, Sailing John, you're my guy. You know what I mean? You promote what you want. I mean, if I had something, I would say something to you. I got love for you, brother. I'm not mad at you. You're my guy. Milano, campgrounds getting expensive, Sam. They are, because when economies, look, society is always going to have their hand in your pocket. You're never going to get around that. So, again, you're never going to be able to get out with any cost. I mean, just when you think you got Nomad's life figured out, gas can go up to $5 a gallon, just like it did in 2007. So, you can't, look, there's no way you're going to live without any expenses. That's why I don't preach quit your car and live like a hobo. I preach live below your means, work for a living, save. If you want to take some risk, but let it be a smaller proportion than your overall savings. And work on being the best you. And that's it. You're never going to have, your goal shouldn't be, I just want $1 trillion in a bank account. Because when you have $1 trillion, you're going to want $5 trillion. When you have $5 trillion, you're going to run for president, and then you're going to want to subsidize corporations. Because you'll never have enough. You'll be eating on gold plates in Palm Beach, Florida, and you still want more. So don't make money your sole goal. Money's a goal. I'm not pandering to you. But it can't be your God. You understand what I'm saying? Live below your means and push forward. Use your creativity. Use your passion. And don't just search for cheapcamping.net. Search for, I want to live my dream and my passion, and I want to make a positive difference in this world. Outside of that, if you want something else, go see Bob Wells in Arizona for 14 days for free. That shit ain't for me, B. I'm sorry. That's not for me. I'm not sharing this with anybody. This is my passion. All right? Love and respect everyone. Just don't make it great again. Amen. I'm with you, Miss Kim. I'm with you. Start back. Just a random thought that came to mind. Have you ever tried growing plants in near RV? I'm just an interesting idea. Not me. Maybe Milano has. I don't want the work of a plant. You got to water that thing. You got to take care of that thing. When I had my condo, you know what I had? Fake plants. Okay? And I was dating some Asian chick. She came over my condo and she started bitching that the plants weren't real. Because in the Asian culture, I don't know what they have. They have some word that every plant has got to be real. Let me tell you something. This is for the fellas out there. If you ever date a girl and the Christmas tree has to be real every month, break up with her. Okay? You're never going to make her happy. If she has to have a real Christmas tree every year, you're going to be tap dancing the rest of your life. Let me tell you something. This for me now. This is my opinion. To answer your question, I don't have any plants. But that's just me. Maybe Milano has some. I don't have any. Thank you, though, for the question. Okay? It's Miss Kimberly. 3 digits emoji. Thank you, it's Miss Kim. I love you. Good to see you. Sarah, do you feel bad when you see people who don't want to live in their car sleeping in the same rest stop? Not everyone in the same car wants to live that life. I don't feel bad. Here's why. Because one is I spend time dealing with the homeless. I had a nonprofit organization. I've worked with the homeless. I've worked with the poor. I've spent time with the poor, impoverished people. And you can only do what you can do. And there's the majority of people that are living that lifestyle that don't want to, they have a drug or they have a mental health problem. So people don't know that if they don't spend time on them. They do the Kim Kardashian. They go visit a fucking soup's kitchen once a year on Thanksgiving and they give out turkeys. That's not real help on the poor. Jesus said the poor will always be among you. But I've spent time with the poor. I've got jobs for the poor. I've helped the poor. But there's only so much you can do. And you have to cure the drug and the mental health problem above all else. It's not just a money and dollar cents thing. Because two is you just give people money. If they still have a drug problem, they're going to end up right in that rest stop. I mean, when I'm at rest stops, I've been approached a couple times in the middle of the night by drug addicts and they want money. And I don't give it to them. It is what it is. So I've spent time, legit time, in poor communities working with the poor. And so there's some poor doesn't define you. But what you're talking about is being homeless, but it's a mental health and drug problem. And there's a generational problem tied into it. But, you have to actually experience that and get involved in the community to understand that. See, most people don't get involved in the community. And that's like I had one guy, when I talked about tax reform, he said, what have you done? I've listed things I do. I said, what did you do? He gave me no comment. So it's one thing to feel bad for somebody because you spend a rest stop one night and then you look at them and you feel bad for them. But then if you feel bad, then get involved in the community and spend years involved in social programs and you'll see the answer. And the answer isn't just feel bad and then, go back to your house. Get involved. But a lot of people don't want to get involved. And even when you get involved, like Jesus said, the poor will always be among you. So what's the answer? Be the best you, add to society, and then the rest is outside of your control. You can't take on the sadness of the entire world. You can't solve everything like that. I'm just speaking passionately. I'm not speaking disrespectfully to you. Milano, If you have mental problems, it's difficult, the drug, alcohol abuse. Yeah, no, it all plays on self. People that have mental problems usually self-medicate, and they self-medicate through drug, prescription pills, alcohol, etc. I've seen it in my own family. Okay, my own family members that I've dealt with in my life that have addiction problems, mental and abuse, drug abuse. And so I've seen it. I mean, I know some people in my family, if it wasn't for some type of help, I have people in my family that are on food stamps. I have people in my family that are on government assistance. I have people in my family that, if it wasn't for certain things, they would be homeless. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, I don't need somebody to give me a lecture on it. I've lived it. You understand what I'm saying? So, I know what it is. I can only do what I can do. And my answer is I got to push forward. And, I do what I can and I push forward. Star Pack. Glad to see you're catching up with your never-ending comments. One thing that I appreciate is how connected you are with the viewers. Well, Star Pack, thank you. And I'm very thankful for my viewers. Like I say, I mean, one is I'm going forward regardless. But if it wasn't for my viewers, it wouldn't be as special because I'd be talking to the air. That being said, I've got to be honest. There's been some viewers even here that were in here last night that I was connecting. I was saying, bless you, bless you. And they came in with a couple hot comments and I blocked them. So I want to connect and I want to show that I'm thankful for every comment and I want to be respectful to everyone. But I want to be clear. What I've also learned through my life, through working with unhealthy relationships, is if the relationships gets unhealthy for me, I will cut it off. Because I have to keep myself in a healthy space. I'm just here to try to be my best self and try to share myself. And if that can help anybody, I'm very thankful. And I'm thankful for the connection it provides me. But I have to keep myself in a healthy space. And you don't owe me anything and I don't owe you anything. That's why I don't want any type of donation. This is like just me sharing. And some people get it and some people don't. Regardless, through the grace of God, I have to go forward. Thank you, Star Pack. Sarah, which should you list as your residence when applying for a job when you live in a car? Well, if you ever apply for a job, I mean, what you have is on your license. So are you going to use a UPS box? Are you going to use your mother's address? So whatever, you have to have something for your license. So whatever you put on your license, your job is just going to, once you get to that part of the interview, it's just going to be basically, what township. But once you get to the point where you're actually filing, whatever you have on your license. That's what I would say. Whatever you have on your license, whether you use your family member's house or you have a UPS box or whatever you use, that's what you should use. Milano, Walgreens will get you addicted for good. It will. I mean, I have family members that are strung out on that, so I understand that. I mean, again, I don't need somebody to give me a lecture. I see it in my real life. So, now, does it mean everyone who goes to Walgreens for prescription pills is wrong? No, because some people legit need that stuff, and some stuff is real. But there's a lot of abuse, and it's a thin line. It's a thin line. It's a thin line just like the Martins movie. Thin line between love and hate. It's a thin line between prescription drug help and prescription drug overabuse. So, it is what it is. There's no one answer, but I've seen it, so I understand it. Praise the Lord. Well, what I will say is I'm very thankful. Sarah says, do you ever feel like you lost your privacy living in a car? No, I didn't, but that's just me. Again, I'm not everyone, so you have to know yourself. Knowing yourself is the key to all decisions. One is, I've always been a person where I like to be by myself. Two is, once you do a YouTube channel, you're going to share a little bit more. And, three is, no, I don't lose privacy because to me, I lived in a condo and I lived in a condo community and I had less privacy there with my neighbors and everything else. And I lived in a luxury community, gated community, nice community. Spend $2,500 a month, for everything. So I have more privacy now, but I keep it moving. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people live in a car and they roll around the back of their van. They stay parked in one area for 1 week. They have no privacy. You understand what I'm saying? And they got like fucking like reflectix on there and they masturbate underneath that. Everyone's different. So that's what I'm saying. Like I know I'm a little bit unique in how I move. So I can't make a one statement on how you would feel because I respect that you're an individual and you're not me. So I would just say, know yourself. You know how much privacy you need to keep yourself in a healthy space. For me, I know what it is for me. And it was scary in the beginning. It's a little bit scary in the beginning, like anything. Like when you start a new job, it takes you a few months to figure it out. When you start your nomad life, it's going to take you a few months. And you know what? Just like every job you have, I've had many jobs. Some jobs you may get, and after 3 months, you may say, I don't like this job. And you have to go find something else. You may start living a nomad life. You may get 3 months in and you say, you know what, I don't like this life. I want to go back to a conventional life. That's why I say start in a car. That way, if you decide you want to go back to an apartment, you don't have a big RV you have to sell. You understand what I'm saying? So dream big, but start small. That's my overall piece of advice. I'm a traveling van. What's up, brother? Respect another Florida guy in the house. How do my good man keep warm, I hope? Yeah, I just layer up. I mean, like I said, I spent most of last winter in the car, and there was one day even before I left, it was like 20 degrees at night. So now it's like 5 degrees at night. But you just layer up. I did a whole video on that, layering up. So, it is what it is. I mean, I'm a survival. I mean, I'm not Superman or anything like that, so I'm humble enough. I'm not saying, but I'll survive and adapt. I mean, it just is what it is. I feel better in a war. It's more pleasant, but, living in, 5 degrees at night, once I layer up, I'm not going to die. I mean, I'm not a pansy. I'm not I'll survive. I'll be fine. Sarah, I know you don't think so, but I would think people look at you like you're homeless. They do. But I guess in life, you have to define your own life. There's no way you're going to be happy, Sarah, or anyone, if you give a fuck what other people think. I don't give a fuck what other people think. My first video on here was I make so much money per year and I live out of my car and I don't give a fuck what people think. God has always blessed me. I don't give a fuck what other people think. Some people think I'm homeless. I don't care. I mean, but you know what I've learned in life? If you care what people think, you're going to be at Target buying clothes in every color. You're going to buy a house to impress other people. You're going to buy all the knickknacks for the house. You're going to have a housewarming just so you can impress other people and they can think good of you. I don't give a fuck them. And then you're going to live in debt and you're going to live a resentful life just like your parents. Fuck that. I'm going to live free. I'll let everybody and their mother judge me and I'll push forward with my life. I'm living inspired and happy and blessed. I see people living miserable. I don't want to live their life. So I'm okay if everyone looks at me like I'm homeless. See, some people ain't okay with that. So you have to ask yourself, and it's not easy because I understand insecurities. But I got a point into my life where I said, I don't give a fuck. And I've kind of always been like that. So people know they push me so far back. And I don't look to hurt anybody. But this is what I'm saying. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how people look at me. Don't matter to me. I cut off my own father. I cut off anybody. I don't care. You want to cause me a problem? If I don't hurt you, fuck you. I'm out. I'm not going to hurt you. But I don't care what you think. But I love you. I love you, Sarah. I'm not talking to you, but I'm just sharing my passion. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Milano. Weed, it doesn't help me slow down. It doesn't work for me, but like the smell. Yeah, the smell still smells good. I smell it once time I go to the beach or if I'm in the streets. But yeah, weed didn't work for me either. I smoked it for many years. It just makes you dumb, paranoid, and overeat and hang out with friends that are doing nothing. It makes you live below your potential. So yeah, I'm not for it. And they say too, Kanye was smoking weed when he started talking crazy, and he was drinking alcohol when he went up there with Taylor Swift. So weed and alcohol just destroy your mind. It's proven. Weed and alcohol destroy your brain cells. So they limit your brain capacity. If you want to live below your potential, smoke weed. Will it kill you? Maybe not. Should it be legal? I really don't care, but it's not going to help you. It's going to keep you numb. I don't want to be numb. I want to push forward. So you have to decide what you want in life. Some people don't want to push forward. They just want to numb the pain. I'm a traveling van. Dude got a 6-figure income. Who cares what they think? Well, that's true. Now, I'm humble enough to know I once worked for minimum wage, and at any time, my job could say, look, you're fired. I've been there too. So I'm not prideful in that. I realize anytime, but it's true too. That's true too. So, I mean, but even if I made minimum wage, to be honest with you, I still wouldn't care. Like, I've always been like that because I've made minimum wage before. So I have a great perspective on life. I've seen a lot of different sides of the spectrum. I'm not prideful in money. I'm not scared of, working. I've worked in a pizzeria. I've worked painting houses. I've worked, cleaning. I mean, I am always going to be myself. And so, obviously as I mature, I get more and more myself because I get less and less like, you know what? I'm not going to really, but I'm a positive, hardworking person. I know some people don't get that because I'm passionate sometimes, but I don't care. But yeah, I don't care what people think. I mean, I definitely at this point too, that's why I say there's no more tap dancing. Because now too, like, I mean, I've sold, but I make that money too. A lot of people look at me and they busted my chops along the way, say, oh, Sam, you're lucky because you make this. Yeah, but nobody was saying I was lucky when I was working my ass off to get to the point where I'm at. And nobody wants to do, a lot of people don't want to do what I'm doing. But at the same time, they say, oh, you're lucky that you're traveling in Florida. We're in the winter. I say, yeah, but you don't want to live out, everybody wants it both ways. If you make nothing, they say, oh, you're not doing good. Then if you make everything, it's, oh, but you're lucky. That's why you're happy. But they don't look at all the years that I worked, that I went to school at night, that I went from job to job, that I applied to jobs, I went to jobs I was scared to go to. I woke up every day scared to go to a job, and I still showed up. You have to show up every day and be consistent. If you don't do that, you're not going to succeed in life. Now I know I got off a tangent. I'm sorry. And this Miss Kimberly, so true, hand claps emojis. Do you, boo. Thank you, Kim, for your support. I love you. I appreciate you. Milano, special is from Hawaii. I know that Hawaiian. I understand. 2 for 5s. I understand all that. Chocolate. Sailing John, I get that too. F them. Yeah, I mean, that's the mindset you have to have. Not hurt them, but F them. There's a, you understand what I'm saying. I agree. Treat others how you want to be treated. That's right. And let me tell you something. Even when you treat others how you want to be treated, they're still going to fuck you over, some of them. So you don't hurt them, you don't judge them, but you go forward. And you block them. You boundary up. Because you can treat people like Jesus, you're still going to have a Judas. Never forget that. You can treat people like Jesus, and you're still going to have a Jewish. You're still going to have a Judas. You can wash someone's feet, and they're still going to that night hand you over to the Roman Empire. Never forget that. So, you have to boundary up too. You understand what I'm saying? Sarah, do you have curtains? How do you keep them from looking in? I have window covers. That's the number one thing you need if you're sleeping in a car. When I first started sleeping in my car, I didn't have window covers. And at night, when I go into a rest stop, it'd be like the Twilight Zone because you got cars coming in, you got street lights. So you just get regular window covers like you do from Target or Walmart, like, for sun blocking visors. And you just get enough to put them around your windows. And you figure out a system. It's not rocket science. You just cover up your windows with some type of covering. Just like you would in your house. You buy a house, you got windows, you find some type of curtain setup. And just like a house, like I had a house, you have to go through a couple different curtains to figure out which ones you like. But that's all it is. You have to look at your car like your house. It's just windows and you have to have curtains for them. Same thing. Sarah, I just read that. Sarah, I think music on the radio is brainwashing society. Well, some of it is, some of it isn't. I mean, they said the same thing about hippie music. They said the same thing about rap. They said the same thing about, look, I listen to some hardcore rap. I listen to some reggae. I listen to some R&B. Some gospel music brainwashes people to a passive, submissive, yes master type mentality. So, the bottom line is, I think music heals the soul. And I know people that listen to death metal, but that helps them. So, you know what? As I just say, I don't give a fuck what you listen to. I don't care if you listen to chanting. I know people that used to listen to like chanting. They were like monks. That shit was crazy to me. But I'm not going to judge them. My whole thing is, like he said, treat people if you're not bringing harm to anyone, I don't care what you listen to. I don't care if you listen to death metal. I don't care if you listen to gospel. I don't care if you listen to country. People were listening to that country music artist in Arizona, and that guy had like some basic songs, and that guy came with the AK-47 or whatever. He was just killing people. They were listening to some like whole all-American country music. Wasn't nothing brainwashing about that. Look, you're always gonna have ills in society, but I think music heals the soul, and you have to develop your own thought. And just like you have to just, you get what I'm saying. I don't want to overstretch that. You understand what I'm saying? Renee, Sarah, don't worry about others. Only think what matters is how you feel and what you are doing. Take care of yourself. Yes, define your own voice. You will be fine. That's right, Renee. Amen. Sarah, I care what people think. That's okay. I cannot. Most people are vain and care about keeping up with the Joneses. Well, I understand, Sarah. I've been there. We all been there. That's part of defining your life. So you'll figure it out as you go. And some people don't. But one is, I don't want to tell you how to live. I'm just sharing my life. And I trust you to be you. I mean, you have to figure out your own journey. I can only share my life. Renee can share hers. One is, I speak a word of encouragement over you. I want you to define your own life and your own voice. But I don't want to push you into anything you don't want to do. You will never succeed until you want to do something. So do your research. There's going to be some trial and error in life, period. And, just keep pushing forward and cut off certain people. But do what you want. Love and respect to you, Sarah. I understand. I do. Renee, Sarah, take time to forget about others. They don't pay your bills or take care of you. That's true. But the only way to figure that out is to just go through life. Because like I say, 10, 20 years ago, even though I really didn't care, I was still doing some stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. So some things just come with life experience. You just have to go through life. And that's okay. You shouldn't judge yourself for that. This is part of growing up and maturing. I'm traveling, Vin. It's not about whether people like you. The real question is, do you like them? Amen. That's a wisdom. I agree with that. Good comment, Traveling Van. That's true. Good question. Good comment. Renee, but you can do it. You will be fine. I agree with that. Good comment, Renee. Star Pack. What do you think about conspiracy theories? Some of them make sense, and some of them can't stop reading. When do you draw the line? A good question. Wasted time and wasted my experience. What do I think about conspiracy theories? Some of them have truth, but a lot of them are just mind masturbation. They are a waste of time. Focus on what you can control. Critically think to where you question the status quo norm, but understand a search for knowledge and truth is endless, and you'll drive yourself crazy. Alex Jones, who pumps every conspiracy theory in the world, he goes literally bonkers on conspiracy theories, and then he sells people vitamin water. A vitamin pill, a supplement that's basically like snake oil. Don't mind masturbate to conspiracy theories. Life is about focusing on what you can control. You should critical think. You should question the status quo norm, but don't waste your precious time on things you can't control. Focus on yourself. Why do people love conspiracy theories? I'll tell you why. It distracts them from doing the work of their life. The same reason why people like trolling. Why? Why don't they spend all that time in improving their life? Because they don't want to work on their life. They want to work on your life. They know exactly who you want to be. They're going to tell you. That's a troll. They're going to tell you how to be you. Because they don't want to work on themselves. It hurts to look in the mirror. Same thing with conspiracy theorist people. People who take it too far. They don't want to really go get a job, or they don't want to really like deal with their family issues or cut people off or raise their kids. They want 9/11 to be an inside job, and maybe it was, I don't know, but they want to go crazy about it. Was 9/11 an inside job? I don't know, maybe it was or it wasn't, but what I know is you got to work tomorrow, you got to cut off that unhealthy relationship, and you got to deal with the issue that your kids don't like you. That's the real issues you got to deal with, not if, George Bush caused 9/11. You understand what I'm saying? Some people go nuts on that shit. Good question. And it's getting late. I'm almost wrapped up. Sarah, I do like to live in my car, but since I'm a girl, is it safe? Well, one is nothing safe in this world, okay? Nothing is 100% safe. So I'm not going to lead you astray. Nothing's guaranteed in this life. What life is risk management. Are you taking a higher level of risk living in a car? Yes. Should you fear it? No. But it is a higher level of risk. You have to determine what you want to do, and it's your life. It's your choice. That's part of being an adult. Part of being an adult is, mommy and daddy don't get to dress you and tell you what to think anymore. But part of being an adult is now you have to make adult decisions, and it's painful to make decisions, and you have to fail to figure out what you want to do. So that's my answer. Good question. No Man's Land. I don't cover my windows, he says, Sam, because I don't want to make it obvious, especially with all that's going on in NYC. Well, I understand. Everyone has their own unique circumstance, so I hear you. And like I say, everyone has to define their own life. I can understand that. Sarah, what are your thoughts on gang stalking? YouTube is filled with videos on it, and I can't stop watching it. Well, I don't watch that shit. I don't watch horror movies. I know some people who watch horror movies, they destroy their mind. You have to take care of your mind, body, soul. That's why I don't preach living cheap. I preach mind, body, and soul. If you watch my channel. I know some people, they like getting scared. I dated girls, they love getting scared. They love going on a high rise. They loved because you know why? You get endorphins. You get a high when you watch fearful stuff. You're wrong for watching that, Sarah. Period. You're not, because why? Because you're not taking care of your mind. When you watch a horror movie, when you watch an act of violence on the news, you replay a traumatic event. You give yourself postpartum, you give yourself, what do they call it, PSD or whatever. Every time you watch a horrific thing, you cause blunt trauma to your mind. You're neglecting your mental well-being. You're never going to be in a healthy place. I don't care if you live in a gated house. If you watch horror movies all the time, you're destroying your mind. So before you even decide what you should do with your life, you have to cut that activity out of your life. If you want, do what you want. But in my opinion, that's an extremely unhealthy behavior. And you're doing it because you get a high off it, and that high is feeding off itself. It's mentally unhealthy. I'm a traveling van. One of these videos, I'm going to do a video on my setup van. You should. I'm lazy, so maybe a couple days. Laugh out loud. Well, traveling van, let me know when you do, because I believe creativity is a doorway to your next level of passion. Good job. It's Miss Kimberly. Sarah, people get hurt inside, all caps, of their home. I seen that. You are not completely safe anywhere. I agree. It's only risk management. Get a knife, spray, etc. Just be prepared, even if you don't live in your car. Well, all that's on the table too. Like I said, there's no guarantees in life, but like I said, your first step is you are hurting your mind. So when you eat fast food every night, you're destroying your body. When you watch horror movies every night or horror series or whatever, you destroy your mind. So if you eat a Big Mac every day, you're going to die physically. If you watch a horror flick every day or a horror series and you binge watch it on Netflix, you destroy your mind. So, it's both are wrong. I have to say that honestly. Sarah, there are a lot of ladies out there. Always be mindful of your surroundings. I agree. Star Pack. I am glad we are talking about self-improvement. Have to. That's the axis of which your life goes around. Some people I know are jealous of how I'm paying off my house loans. Yeah, sure they are. But I don't work for it. They are furthering their education, but it takes more than that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you always got people that hate no matter what. So, you can't live for people. You got to live for yourself. As long as what you're doing is not hurting anyone, Star Pack, or anyone, keep doing you. Keep doing you. No man's land. We have to be careful what we feed our minds. Amen, brother. Because it enters our souls. Totally agree. I knew a guy who grew up with all he watched horror flicks. The guy has mental depression. Totally agree with that. It's Miss Kimberly. Hell no, don't watch that stuff. I agree. And not to beat you up, but this is what we're talking about. That's why you're on the edge. I agree. I used to do that. Yeah, I did too. Only a little bit, not too much. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's mentally unhealthy. It definitely makes you feel for. Definitely. You're feeding fear. You're feeding fear. I definitely agree with that. Starting out, stay local first. I agree with that, Traveling Van says. Milano, it's like putting diesel gas in a regular car. I love Milano. Milano's my guy, man. Milano, if I get some money on me, I'm going to check you out, man. I like Milano. He's my guy. He makes me laugh. He's a good guy. I like Milano, man. It's my guy. Sarah, okay, I'm worried I could get raped. Oh, Sarah, come on. I think there has to be a difference between a guy and a girl living in a car. There is. A girl living in this world. We're still in a man's world. Overall, I mean, it's getting better, but don't forget about it. 70 years ago, women couldn't even vote. That's why I say when I make videos now about we should have healthcare reform and everything, people look at me crazy. If you made a video 70 years ago, one is a woman wouldn't even be able to make a video because women weren't really allowed to speak their voice. Two is you couldn't even talk to a man in most cases. Three is we're a lot further than them. But the bottom line is you want to hear somebody tell you a pander, which means tell you whatever you want to hear. The truth is life is risky. Living in a car is more risky. Nothing is 100% safe. And yes, being a girl, you take a little bit more risk. So, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you that's what it is. But you have to start at the foundation. The foundation is you're feeding your mind the wrong things. Start there. Before you decide to live out of your car, just stop watching crazy shit. And cut off the unhealthy relationships. And, then figure out what you want to do. Because until your mind is in a healthy space, you're never going to know what to do. The tail will be wagging the dog. You're going to go in circles. I dated people that went in circles. You know what I did? I went forward. I said, fuck it, I'm cutting them off. Because they want to go in circles. And you know what a tornado does? A tornado wants to grab you and spin you around. And say, get the fuck out of here. I'm going forward. So, you got to decide what you want. Horror movies, stupid thing. I understand that. Well, I think I'm going to movie in my car thanks to your videos. Thanks. Well, one is thank you, but only do whatever you want. And I appreciate your comments. I know it's not easy to hear all these things, but, ultimately, just remember, you take accountability for your life, good, bad, or in between, just like I did, just like everyone should. Whatever decision you make, you do it because you want to do it, and you take accountability whether it fails or succeeds. Because if I decide tomorrow to buy a house and then you end up in a car and you hate it, you're going to resent me. Only make decisions that you want to make, and then you take full accountability for them. If you go to a college only because your parents wanted you to go there and then you go to that college and you hate it, you're going to resent your parents, etc., etc., etc. As an adult, a young adult, and I understand being young is not easy, the first part of being an adult is taking accountability for your life. Good, bad, or ugly. It's the only way you grow. I have a bug, beetle. Beetles are cute. I like beetles. If I don't like it, I will let you know. Okay. Yes, it's tiny. Yeah, they're cute. No man's land. We got back, Sarah. Go for it in your area. Tour familiar with your family homework first. Amen. Well, love and respect. Let me manage my time. I went later than I usually go. Tonight was a long live feed. I thank everyone for their time and their comments and their voice. Love and respect. Go in peace. Realize no matter what you do in life, everyone won't like you. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you have to define your own life. You have to live your own life and you have to share your voice. Go in peace. Period. Go in peace.